My name is Scott Reister. I'm the creator of North American Racing League, also a NARL Porsche Cup driver, broadcasted live by Pitstop TV.
Hi, my name is John Sedlak, and I race for Firelight Esports in North American Racing League. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/diesel_dad.
Hello, I am Dino Filippa, sim racer from Argentina, current champion, and I will be competing in the championship for the ERS team and also providing the data for each race for the participant drivers.
Hey guys, I'm Marco Saavedra, and I'm a NARL Porsche Cup driver representing Infinite Racing Services. I'm a race winner and multiple podium finisher on the last NARL GT3 season, so I'll be working to get even better results this championship on a different car. See you all on track.
Hi guys, I am Ricardo Rico from Spain. I drive with Zenith Esports and I will be doing this Porsche Cup season in the North American Racing League. I hope you can catch with us on the Pitstop TV broadcast and we will try to give you a good show. See ya!
Hi, my name is Lubov. I'm full-time streamer, content creator, ambassador for Master and Excel Racing. And also, I'm North American Racing League Porsche Cup driver.
Hey guys, my name's Ryan Kerr. Looking forward to racing in NARL, broadcast by Pitstop TV again this season. This time in the pro category after last season's good result. Racing again with Mirandas. Looking forward to seeing everybody out on track.
Hi, my name's David Schwartz. I'm 36 years old. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm representing the Mirandas M Squad. In real life, I'm the 2018 D Street Las Vegas region autocross champion, also an SCCA time trial winner, and I've been sim racing for about 6 years.
Hi, I am Dalton Zavidal, driver for SimCity Racing and North American Racing League Porsche Cup driver. I am the 2021 Colorado Karting Tour iRacing Winter Series champion and the 2022 Season 1 Porsche Cup Pro-Am champion.
Olá, meu nome é Jackson Rezende, faço parte da Texaco Race by TK e sou piloto da North American Race League Porsche Cup.
Hey guys, Bruno Do Carmo here from Texaco Racing by TK, Pro World Championship license back in 2017, and now I'm a North American Racing League Porsche Cup driver.
Hello guys, my name is Gustavo Ariel and I'm Texaco Racing by Tony Canan driver, and I'll be driving on the North American Racing League Porsche Cup Championship. Let's go.
Ties were broken and leads were changed at Barber 2 weeks ago, giving each NARL Porsche Cup driver that much more reason to buckle down and work even harder over the 2-week stretch leading to this evening. We're in Norway for round 4 of Season 3, and the points battle is as compelling as ever. Welcome to Pit Stop TV. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with JP Costa alongside, and leaving Barber 2 weeks ago, I wasn't sure how the points picture would look. But I think I speak for everyone when I say nothing we saw last week was expected to begin with. We've seen plot twist after twist this season, which bodes well for the twisting Rudskogen Motor Center these drivers must tangle with tonight. JP, this is a brand new racetrack, not only to the league, not only to the North American Racing League, but also to us here at Pit Stop TV. Recently added, in fact, within the last calendar year, I guess I should say the last 12 months anyways, here on iRacing.com. It is a beautiful gem of a racetrack. Really showcases a lot of what iRacing has been doing artistically, and just showcases, again, a beautiful, beautiful racetrack with a lot of depth. I feel like it's a challenging one. It's a twisting and turning one for sure, and it's going to be a tough round for these guys here in round 4 tonight.
Oh, absolutely. As you mentioned, it's the first time we've been here, as a group, and even for the NRL guys, as you mentioned. But yeah, just looking at the track map and looking at the pictures we have, Andrew, on screen, it seems like an absolutely fantastic course. Seems a little bit high speed, but technical at the same time. You can see the road narrows, and you can see just essentially how beautiful it is around the racetrack. Plenty of trees, plenty of a scenic view around it. So it's incredible. I cannot wait to see how the race goes on, but you can see right here from the track map, we have 14 corners, and Andrew, we have pretty much everything. We have, 90-degree corners, we have long sweeping corners, a massive back straightaway, S's, hairpins, everything we need for good racing.
And you can see here that, everything you're saying is right, but also the passing opportunities are actually rather thin, slim. A lot of tracks we go to, it feels like you can pass in just about any corner. I wouldn't recommend passing in many of these corners at all. Turn 1, I think, is certainly the best passing opportunity on the racetrack. You and I were chatting a little bit earlier about 13 and 14, maybe even turn 10 at the hairpin. Those feel like the best opportunities. The rest of this really feels like you're driving on a Norwegian country road. It's just so difficult to actually get around here, even as a single car, a driver, let alone as a whole field of 30 some odd cars, as we will have here for this amateur race. And of course, the amateurs up first. We'll take a look at their race details. A 30-minute AM race coming at you to start the evening off. An 80% fuel limit fix set up. No pit expected for these drivers. They are qualifying currently. Let's take a look at their point standings. For the amateur class, here they are, JP. Milan Harris, Chris Sanchez, John Kroom, the undoubted top 3 as they topped the practice sheets just a few moments ago. Leading the way in these standings, Joe Nagy, 18 points back on Milan Harris, then Ilya Speaker, everybody else. And you can tell, south of the top 4, it's getting rather spread out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a distance between points in some of the drivers, but Andrew, after that distance, you can see everybody's kind of bunched up a little bit. You can see right there, Ilya Speaker just 5 points ahead of Kleber Tavares, just 2 points ahead of Bjorn Stange, 1 point on Samuel Bernard, and then obviously 7-point gap between Keith Wilfred, but then just 1 point between him and Alan Ballard. So, there are, located battles, I guess you can say. There's not a lot of movement, to happen around here tonight, but definitely a few position switches I feel like we can definitely expect here tonight, just like we kind of did on the pro race last time out. But I feel like this is going to change a little bit, not too drastically, but a little bit on next week's round.
We also take a look at our pro standings, our pro and pro-am standings coming into round 4 after round 3 at Barber last time out 2 weeks ago. And Dalton Zavidal on the top of the standings. It makes sense when you consider the whooping he put on the field last race, but it still is a little bit new to me to see Dalton Zavidal leading these standings ahead of guys like Gustavo Ariel, Ricardo Rico, even Fabio Zamperlini, Scott Reister, Dino Filippa. It's just so insane to see the rise to power, if you will, for Dalton Zavadil this season. It really is cool to see as well, though. He's been in this series now for a few seasons, has been growing with the North American Racing League, and clearly has become a full-fledged pro driver going out there for wins week in, week out. Milan Harris at the top of the board here in qualifying. Let's just get right down to the amateur qualifying cars on track. Milan Harris, John Kroom straight to the top, and you can see their cars here on screen. There's Milan, there's John. How about Avon Dorsey in the third spot currently, as these guys have gotten their first laps on the racetrack?
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the gap between Milan Harris and John Kroom is just 18 thousandths of a second. So on such a new track for us, Andrew, that's a remarkably small gap to have between P1 and P2. Then obviously Dorsey, just 0.3 of a second. It's not too bad at all. Then you can see right here the number 212 of Bernardi, the number 06 of Leah Speaker, 1 second back, and they're kind of in the close battles as well. As you can look at the 29 of Adam Ballard as well, just sitting on 5th place, 1.2 seconds. So, you know, the field has a bit of a gap. I guess we can kind of expect that being a new racetrack. But still, looks like a few drivers are very close to each other, which is exactly what we want to see. And now looking at a few of these onboards, Andrew, and you can see just how beautiful this racetrack is and how technical and tricky it also seems to be for, just for these type of cars.
It is beautiful. It is scenic. It is also definitely tricky. It feels a bit like Tsukuba, where it's nice and tight and kind of wraps up over itself a couple of times. That racetrack in Japan that is in so many racing games and free here on iRacing, just like Rudskogen is on iRacing now as well. It feels a lot like Tsukuba to me, where it's just short, really tight corners, but you still have opportunities to open up the legs of these vehicles and get them up to speed, especially down into turns 1 and turns 3. Here's a look at Dean Kerr, Gary Weaver on track as well. How about Philip Badurka in car 70, looking to bounce back from Barber. Clarence Rosa on track in car 98. Nick Polliard there in car 113. Chip Witt in 18th currently is Don Gottlieb, and Brian Robinson pick up a bunch of time. Just trying to go through some of the field, as we've got about 28 cars in attendance this evening. But as qualifying winds down, inside of 5 minutes to go here, JP, Milan Harris is the top of the bunch, and he is the top by nearly a half second over John Kroom.
And I do expect that time to maybe come down even more. And you can see right here the performance of Milan throughout the season has been absolutely spectacular. So you can clearly see what he's been doing. Just preparing for each race. It's definitely working out for him. The pace on qualifying on the race is definitely paying out. Kroom as well. Nearly half a second as you mentioned, but still clear of the rest of the field. So it's really interesting to see how the practice has really helped a few of these guys that maybe got a bit of a technical, I guess, side to the track, just analyzing data, all this sort of stuff. It's currently paying off on qualifying, but obviously the points are only awarded towards the end of the race, so still plenty to happen and plenty can change.
John Kroom to wrap up his qualifying run. It looks like it might be good enough for pole. It is! Car 45 up over his teammate by nearly 4/10. Wow, John Kroom taking it to the bank there on the final lap of qualifying for his run. How about Wendell Lira looking to do the same in car number 11? This is up into turn 12 now, a very technical piece of racetrack. Very easy to overdrive on exit and get yourself a slowdown and run into the grass. Keeps it nice and tidy so far, 13, 14. This long carousel at the end of the lap that brings you out onto the front stretch. Wendell Lira putting the power down. Let's see what he can do. Best lap so far, a 123.866. This lap, a 123.748. Is it going to adjust at all? No, that will stand, and that will move him, well, keep him in 5th position, but move him closer to Avon Dorsey. It won't change anything for his run, though. How about Bjorn Stange, car 2? He's got something here through turn 12.
And you can see right here, as we just looked on Lira's car, you can see just right here, this final section, this final corner, Andrew, just looks like you have to have Sanchez from, well, out of nowhere. 22.7, just beating Kroom by less than half a tenth. You can see that Bjorn Stange as well comes to improve by 0.4 of a second, and he's gonna jump all the way to 7th place. So a good lap for him as well as the session closes. Billy Bowerman losing the back end and smashing into the wall. Keith Wilfred, does he improve by half a second as well? So a lot of improvements happening, Andrew, on the final lap of qualifying. Really good to see.
up to 12th for Keith Wilfred, so a big jump there as he grabs a couple of late positions. Here's Volker Krebs out of the final corner. Let's see what he can do. To the start-finish line, losing time that lap. He won't improve. Matthew Shervick, though, in car 23, up to 24th position from 27th. That is a gain, and he will certainly take it for the number 23 in his efforts here in qualifying. It looks like that'll do it, actually. A couple of drivers still on the racetrack, but not counting for time now. Here's your pole sitter, it looks like, as I'm looking through everybody's times. There is one driver that has not completed their allotted number of laps. It's Billy Bowerman after that crash we saw. So qualifying is very much final at this point. This will be your pole sitter, Chris Sanchez. Let's take a look at your weather conditions, though, coming into today. And JP, oh boy, it definitely feels like we're in Norway, doesn't it? 63.6 degrees in the air, clear skies, 66 degrees on track in this crisp Norwegian morning. That is just so fitting for this race.
Yeah, it is. Really good. You can see right there, I don't think there's a single cloud in the sky above the racetrack, maybe on the vicinity, but yeah, really good weather for these guys, Andrew. And I was just looking through my notes, and I feel like the last time we saw Sanchez on pole was in Detroit. And the last time he was on pole, he went to dominate the race. So could we expect something similar maybe for Sanchez?
I would definitely look for it, but based on practice, I think Milan Harris and John Krum definitely still have something for race pace. It's hard to say exactly what we're going to see here this evening, but certainly watch out for all three of those drivers. They have been the undoubted top three in the series, at least in this amateur class, as you take a look at some of the scenic statics there for Chris Sanchez wrapping up his time on the racetrack. He's not out there for qualifying time anymore, as we just take a look. This is a beautiful racetrack. iRacing definitely got a gem here. There's elevation change. There's every type of corner, long straights, short straights, places where you want to enter maybe on the outside to have the inside for the next corner. And of course, it just rips through the countryside like that, straight through the forest in the best of ways. This is such a cool looking racetrack.
Yeah, it is. And again, I can kind of see a small little dirt track just on the inside right there, Andrew. So yeah, a small mini version of that. I wouldn't mind racing a Porsche GT3 Cup car around there. I wouldn't mind seeing these guys do it as well. It would certainly be fun. But as qualifying now, the time comes to an end, Andrew. Drivers will be staging on the grid, and we have our final grid positions for these drivers. Certainly was a fun qualifying session. Cannot wait to see what's going to happen on the race.
Let's take a look at our schedule first off, and quickly you can see Race 4, Norway, coming in this evening, May 25th. Next week we go to Monza for an interesting round. We'll talk more about that as you take a look just at the schedule graphic as we get ready for our grid this evening. On pole, as we mentioned, car 3, Chris Sanchez, fastest of the bunch. John Krum will start from second. Starting third, it's Milan Harris. Your top three, well out front of the rest. Ilya Speaker starts from fourth today. Starting fifth, it's Avon Dorsey. Sixth is Wendell Lira. To round out your top 10, it's Bjorn Stange, Joe Nagy, and Adam Ballard and Brian Robinson.
11th place goes to Samuel Bernardi. Keith Wilfred starts in 12th place alongside him. On the inside, 13th place, we're going to have the driver of Joshua Lyon, the number 24, the number 302 of Billy Bowerman on his outside. 15th place will go to Kleber Tavares, and the number 70 of Philip Bederk is going to line up alongside him in 16th place. 17th place on the inside, we're going to have Charles Hosea, and the number 321 of Jay Robinson in 18th. Finally, Andrew, row number 10, we're going to have Gary Weaver, the number 75, and the number 84 of Dean Kerr.
The back 8 starters this evening: Don Gottlieb, Chip Witt there at 22nd, then finally Sean Patterson, Matthew Shervick, Otto Rosa, Nick Polliard, and your back row, Volker Krebs and Robert Guadagnoli. We barely got him in, but we got him in this evening as we take the green flag this evening from Rudskogen Motor Center. We are racing in Norway, and it's a land rush up to the top of the racetrack, up to turn number 1, and already we have got ourselves an interesting little set of corners, and we've got a little bit of crashing, it looks like. Just a little bit of contact through these opening couple of corners and moments here at Rudskogen. Samuel Bernardi, slow and backwards actually, trying to get himself righted. That is at the top of turn 2 and headed down the rest of the circuit. This is just how things look here getting this race started. This is a really, really picturesque racetrack, but difficult on these guys in a race condition.
Yeah, absolutely. I do expect to see a few struggles here and there, Andrew, and you can see right there a few drivers already going side by side, even through the middle part of the racetrack. And it's just going to be fun seeing how the drivers are going to navigate this. We had an idea on qualifying, but now racing alongside, obviously, it's a whole different monster. You can see right there, John Kroom jumped himself up to second place, trying to pressure Chris Sanchez, but still half a second away, as is Milan Harris. But you can see right here, Andrew, the sight of just a whole field of Porsches never gets old, do they?
It never does. Chris Sanchez well out front by 3/10 already in lap 1. And this first lap will go complete just like that. Chris Sanchez, John Kroom, and Milan Harris, Ilya Speaker, Wendell Lira, your top 5 out front of Avon Dorsey and the rest. Brian Robinson sitting back there in the 7th position. And Jay Robinson, it looks like, in trouble, headed to the pit lane lap 1. The Robinsons having very much polar opposite days to get things started.
Maybe a jump start for him, a stop and go. Just quickly heading onto the pits. I don't see any visible damage. Just comes up to his pit stall. And no, just taking a longer stop. And you can see right there that Billy Bowerman had issues in qualifying on the final part. It looks like had issues as well on lap number 1. And you can see right there quite a bit of damage to the left-hand side of his Porsche. He's quickly going to get that fixed. And I don't think he did, actually.
We'll take a look back at maybe what happened here for him. We go a little further back maybe, and we've got trouble for Joe Nagy. We'll come to that in just a moment. But here is, we've already got some damage. This is Billy Bowerman already has damage at this point in the lap. This is turns 3 and 4. And where do things really go wrong for him? We're about to find out right there. Just gets into the grass. Misplaced the car to get into turn 5, and that's definitely some trouble.
Just breaking on the grass, you can see right there, completely lost traction, locked up the wheels, hit the barrier a little bit, and you can see right here the damage. Oh, everybody checked up on turn number 1, and unfortunately he just went full speed.
Oh, wow.
And you can see the rejoins could have been much
Clever
worse.
Tavares.
And that's where the contact happened, Andrew.
Yep.
We saw Samuel Bernardi just facing the wrong side, unfortunately for him, and he dropped all the way down to last place.
Yeah, Clever Tavares, I'm not sure what was going on there. Here's a look, though. Well, we'll get a look in a moment anyways at Joe Nagy and what just happened about a half a lap ago. This is Joe Nagy through turn 4, heading up the hill to turn number 5. I think it's going to happen at the top of the hill through turns 7 and 8 potentially. I'm not sure who he's racing there, but that's Charles Hosea who comes up behind him in car 100, a teammate. And, Charles just... That was a low percentage dive there in turn 8. That's very much a one-lane corner, I'd say. And you can see Joe Nagy ends up turned around.
Yeah, Joe, unfortunately, I don't know what happened, but he looks like he went wide on turn number 6, and that just, completely misplaced him, and I feel like his teammate maybe thought he had a shot, just, as you mentioned, overestimated the braking and unfortunately made contact. And that's, Andrew, that's what we mentioned time and time again. The number 1 rule of racing is you don't want to hit your teammate ever.
Oh!
Unfortunately, sometimes that happens as we have one car going really wide. I'm not quite sure who that was, but yeah, you can see right here this track, it's non-stop action as Chris Sanchez sets another fastest lap of the race. And that was the number 29 that we just saw going a little bit wide. So, yeah, interesting scenes early on in this race, Andrew, not even 5 minutes in.
And a swap for teammates at the front. John Kroom is in trouble after turns 1 and 2 here on lap number 4. And he just gave up a lot of time to Chris Sanchez, of course, the leader, but also Milan Harris, who went by him, and Ilya Speaker, who is behind these two drivers. We'll go on board here with Ilya Speaker in position number 4 ahead of Wendell Lira. And this gives you, I think, a really good respect for just how challenging this race course is. Those back and forth slalom S's right into this very awkward cresting kind of hairpin carousel for turn 8. Very awkward. Around turn 9, just a quick bend into the hairpin of turn 10. A very difficult piece of racetrack, and Phil Badurka has some trouble going into turn 5, and look at that damage.
That is big trouble for the number 70. He definitely made contact with the wall. And that was hard front-end contact as well. We're going to take a look at the replay to see exactly what happened because, well, completely unexpected to see a Porsche with that much damage. You can see right here, Philip coming up. This is on the back straightaway, isn't it, Andrew? And then you kind of just brake, turn it in, and you can see he gets the car slowed down. And now the car is going at a relatively lower speed than he was obviously on the back straightaway. Cuts the corner a little bit. And
weight shift, I think. I think that's just a matter of weight shift for driver 70. And then right behind him, there was a moment, I think, with Robert Guadagnoli potentially coming into frame as we went to replay. Here's Guadagnoli, and sure enough, right into the barrier, the exact same thing.
If there was real racing, Andrew, I mean, real cars, I would expect to see maybe an oil spill, but I don't think that's actually simulated on iRacing to happen pretty much on the exact same place. And you can see right there, pretty much the exact same damage as well.
Yeah. Definitely no oil spills yet in iRacing. Maybe when they add rain, we'll get something like that with fluid dynamics. Who knows? But no, in that case, it was just a matter of, Gary Weaver's got trouble. It's not in the same quarter, but in that case, I really think it was just the weight shift. And Gary Weaver, that was close. Trying to rejoin, nearly joined into the side of Matthew Shervick in car 23, but they get themselves going now in 22nd and 23rd positions, respectively, to Gary Weaver and Shervick. Further forward, Adam Ballard, Don Gottlieb, they are close together. These guys have really split up. This entire field is starting to spread out, and it's mistakes, driver mistakes, that are going to rule the evening and dictate this race for sure as we take a look now at Nick Polliard and Volker Krebs. I do want to mention, of course, my voice might sound a little bit different tonight, dealing with a bit of a respiratory bug. So I appreciate everybody's understanding so far. But JP, we're getting close as Volker misses turn 14 here. We are getting close already to halfway. We're nearly 10 minutes into this 30-minute race, and we've already got to start thinking about our driver of the day for the amateur class. We're not going to have our nominations yet, but we definitely have to start thinking about it.
And, I mean, one of us is going to pick the easy option, as we have one car, looks like, exiting the pits quite slowly.
Billy Bowerman, very slow.
So, yeah, Billy came into the pits. Looks like he's just not having a good day, is he, Andrew? I mean, qualifying, he finished up with an incident, and then lap number 1, another incident. So not Billy's day today, but props to him. He's keeping it up on the racetrack. Looks like he's going to try to finish this race at least. So really good for him. But you can see right there, started 14th place, and that was as high as he went. Unfortunately, after contact, just dropped out. Yeah, really unfortunate day for Billy.
You can see Guadagnoli still in the pit lane. But yeah, of course, we have to take, I think, the top 3 and let the fans decide it. Really, the kicker is going to be that 4th and final car. Maybe we can... John Kroom from 3rd place up to the top of the board as far as lap times. Maybe we can sit down and have a joint conversation for that 4th pick. Lock in the top 3, potentially. What do you think of that? I think you have to lock in the top 3 just because they are so far separated. 4 seconds between 4th and 3rd positions. And then you've got to think about somebody like Ilya Speaker. That's kind of the best of the rest right now with the top 3 so far ahead.
Yeah, this second pack is just pretty much Speaker, Lyra, Dorsey a little bit behind it, and obviously another 4 or 5 seconds gap. So it's just really in groups, and you can, as you mentioned, the number has been the best of the rest so far. Wendell Lyra keeping it close, Dorsey closing in, looks like at times. So it's an interesting battle, Andrew, but I feel like we can wait maybe just a tiny little bit more and kind of do what we did on Barber last time around. See who moved up more positions, kind of compare the drivers. I feel like that could be also a good strategy, and obviously let the fans decide. But either way, so far, racing has been great on this track, don't you think?
I would definitely agree. We can already start to take, inventory of who's made up positions. Charles Hosea is up 7 spots so far from 17th to 10th. Joshua Lyons up 4 positions from 13th to 9th. Bjorn Stage has actually dropped 1 spot. Brian Robinson has picked up 3. Avon Dorsey has dropped a position. Wendell Lyra is up 1 spot, switching positions with Avon Dorsey from the start. Adelia Speaker has held station in the 4th position. So if you want to find somebody that's made up a lot of spots, so far Charles Hosea is your best, or you've got to look a little deeper. Certainly not... Well, yeah, Clement Tavares is up 4 positions, but maybe to somebody like Don Gottlieb, up 8 positions from 21st to 13th. And I think that certainly is worth taking note of.
Yeah, absolutely. And the race is definitely not over. I feel like Don could even make up 1 or 2 more spots. And you can see Adam Ballard made up a few positions. Dean Kerr made up 5 positions since he started. Even dropped 1 at 1 lap and made up essentially 6 as his lowest position. Otto Raza made, looks like, 8 positions as well. 8 positions. Chip Witt, 6 positions. That's a good. So it looks like the back end of the grid also making up quite a few moves. Andrew, Sean Patterson, you can see right there 5 positions as well. So obviously taking a few advantages of the instance early on, but keeping their car on the racetrack, pointing the right direction is definitely an up. And you can see right here, this is turn number 8, right? And I was just noticing how uncambered the corner is. Seems a little bit off camber as well. So it has to be really tricky, not only on the tires, but also on the drivers to have that much precision.
And I want to give a big shout out to this guy right here, Sean Patterson, somebody we've seen in the North American Racing League for seasons now. Has had many struggles, I'll be honest. I won't cut it cheaply here. Has had many struggles in his time in the league, but has grown so much as a driver. It's very rewarding to see him moving up these spots in this race. And, you know, I've mentioned this throughout the season. We've seen a lot of, I think, full circle stories this season already. We're only in the 4th race of 8 points races. And again, Sean Patterson, somebody who's been with this league for a long, long time. Started out certainly lesser of a driver, if that makes sense. Has really grown as a driver, has really gotten a lot better, and you can see it. He's made up, as you can see, 5 spots in this race. I'm sure he'll get another spot or 2 before the checkered flag flies, and just continues to work on himself, keep practicing, keep getting better, and keep learning these race cars. Already taking a look here on Otto Rosa, who has made up 8 positions. So, whoa, a couple of hard chargers fighting here in the midfield as Otto threw a bit of a block there through turn 5 and 6. Now up over turn number 8. And who knows? Who knows what kind of trouble these guys can get themselves into fighting for 17th and 18th. Both up a lot of spots and both really well-improved drivers over their time here in the North American Racing League.
Absolutely, and this seems like a nice pack to keep following. You can see right here, the battle obviously that we were just mentioning, but it seems like, you know, the rest of these guys as well are close in. You can see there Samuel Bernardi, obviously the driver who had issues on turn number 1, kind of falling a little bit under pressure, but also able to attack and closing the gap at points. So interesting to see where the number 2 and 2 will finish after, you know, the end of the race. Obviously, due to his issue, he's definitely going to be a little bit frustrated, Andrew, but if he keeps the pace that he had on qualifying, I'm pretty sure he can move up another few spots before the checker flag.
While these guys have their fun, we've got a fight brewing inside of the top 10. Joshua Lyon, Bjorn Stange for 8th and 9th positions. There's a look at the Shut Up and Drive It number 2 car of Bjorn Stange, and he was our driver of the day, I believe, last time out at Barber Motorsports Park. And a little further down the order today, I think having a little bit of a coming to grips with the circuit for sure. Down a couple of spots. But certainly an opportunity here as we near halfway and maybe get a spot or 2 back and move back up into the position he started in 7th. But JP, I'll tell you what, we've had some great conversation. We've checked in with some drivers, taken inventory of who has and who hasn't made up spots. I'll just go ahead and give you, we'll nominate automatically the top 3. And we'll give you the 4th nomination. Who's it going to be up against the top 3 for driver of the day today?
I'm going to go with Charles Hosea. Made up quite a few spots. I think it was 7 spots we looked at. Still in the top 10. 7 seconds separating him. Looks like he's coming a little bit under pressure, actually. So we kind of just switched at the perfect time to see if he's going to keep this position for the time being. But yeah, currently in 10th. If he can keep the top 10 finish, I feel like this is going to be great for him as well. But yeah, now actually time will tell if this was the correct choice, Andrew. If he can hold this position, I feel like definitely he's going to be a strong contender for driver of the race.
Well, we're down 1 person tonight on the broadcast crew, so you got to give me 1 moment to type all of these in. And we will have this vote up in just a moment. I'm working on the last one, adding Charles Hosea right now. And the funny thing is, as fate would have it, 3 of these drivers are from the same team at Rockefeller Racing, as they have dominated this class this season. Ooh, and Cleber Tavares under pressure now from Keith Wilfred. And Keith is somebody that I wanted to give a nomination to last race at Barber. And I had forgotten that I had locked in one of my nominations as Milan Harris, so I couldn't give that nomination to Keith. But a big shout out to him, a driver that is still brand new here to the North American Racing League, making his first season, and has really, I think, impressed. Turned lots of heads, and certainly is worth taking note of. And thinking about here in this fourth round of racing as Keith works on Kleber and now falls back a little bit as they work up the hill to turn number 1.
This is not only obviously a battle for position as well, but for Kleber Tavares, it's going to be really important to get past Hosea. He's just 2 points ahead of Bjorn Stange, and obviously Bjorn is in 9th place currently, just behind Joshua Lyons. So, this could be just a move not only to get an extra position and finish in the top 10, but also, defend his 6th position on the standings as well. So quite an important move here to be done for the number 92. And obviously right behind him as well, we could see a switch up for points. So this is really important. You can see right there, Andrew, how the number 92 has closed up. This is a fantastic little battle right here. Can he get past? That's going to be the question. And I feel like that's going to be a dive if the answer is yes. See, moving a little bit defensive, showing the nose on the inside. Charles Hosea leaves the door open, and Tavares needs no second invitation. Looks like Hosea might even lose another position.
Hosea trying to defend here in turn 12. We'll see something I talked about earlier, how I might set up turns 13 and 14. Well, maybe not. Thought maybe we would get a glimpse of how to set these corners up to the best run on the front stretch, but I think these guys are learning just how much, of course, of a drafting opportunity the front stretch is. And just trying to set up turn 14 to get a run out and get a run up to turn number 1. It's not going to work that time, though, for Keith Wilfred. A battle further back. Oh, Bernardi has gone around to the final corner. Turn 14. Troubles there, as you can see the drive of the day graphic on your screen. You can vote on YouTube. The vote is up. So all of you guys watching, go vote for the driver of the day. Your 4 options today for the amateur class: Milan Harris, Chris Sanchez, John Kroom, and Charles Hosea. As you take a look here at the battle between Samuel Bernardi and Billy Bowerman. Not for position, as Bowerman is 3 laps down. Joe Nagy, by the way, right behind these guys, battling with Nick Polliard, and I think now pulling away for the 21st spot.
A battle that seems to be an injury is battle for second place. John was kind of dropping back, but now he's able to catch up once more to Milan Harris. So I'm not quite sure if Milan is facing tire issues or John was just waiting for his tires to cool down to maybe try another attack, but he's definitely closer, and he might be within a shot of stealing second place from Milan.
Take a look at it here, up to the first corner. John Kroom very much closing in, up over turns 1 and now 2. This is a really difficult racetrack to describe. I feel like I didn't do it justice trying to describe it to you before this show, and this is just such a cool track. I really am glad that Scott Reiser and everybody at North American Racing League is giving this racetrack a chance. Brand new to the sim still. Only been on the sim for a couple of seasons. And giving us a really solid battle now for second place. And you can see these drivers are making the difference. More so than fuel saving, more so than setups or anything like that. And look at that. Oh. On goes John Kroom to the second position, passing his teammate Milan Harris there in turn number 8. Again, the drivers making the difference. And I think maybe a little bit of teamwork there as well. Milan recognized the situation, saw that John had closed in, and opened the door a little bit.
Yeah, that was just smooth. That was teamwork for them, and not a single one of them lost too much time. They still are almost 7 seconds clear of Elias Speaker behind. So obviously, he's just not wasting time and maybe allowing Kroom to challenge Sanchez up ahead. Really interesting right here, as you mentioned, could have been teamwork. But Andrew, we were talking this about also on the pre-race show between me and you, how this track kind of feels like a few, obviously I'm a massive F1 fan, so kind of a few corners and sections do feel like F1 racetracks. Obviously turns 1 and 2 kind of reminds me of Saudi Arabia. Turns 1 and 2, turns 13 and 14 kind of reminds me of China. That just the same section before the massive straightaway. The middle section could remind us of Suzuka. Turns 3 could remind us of Portugal. It's just a really cool combination of corners that seems to be making a fantastic racing here on Porsches.
And the fun thing about it is it was carved out of the land, much like fantastic classic American racetracks like VIR, Road America, and others, where they're just carved out of the land. It's just a road that they plop down and try to follow the terrain and make good corners out of it. And very much the same deal here at Redskogen. I see Daniel Morad had just promoted and helped out the campaign for Milan Harris today in his driver of the day ambitions, if you will, saying that he was the Minister of Defense and then took that right back as soon as that position changed for second spot. Good to see Daniel in the chat. We're watching a battle between Joshua Lyon, Brian Robinson, and Bjorn Stange, 7th, 8th, and 9th on the racetrack. But the thought that Morad actually puts out in the chat, JP, is there's teammates 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to add to that. There's teammates in positions 2, 3, 4, 5. Got to find another one here. Got to search down, I think, to Charles Jose in 11th. So 11, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11. And then again in 13 for Rockefeller Racing. Then you got to search a little ways. Might not have another one for a while on grid today, but 2, 3, 4, and 5. All Rockefeller Racing. It's insane what they're able to do. I've never seen it. Excuse me, a team lock down the top of a grid quite like that.
So you haven't been watching Red Bull on F1 then, but...
okay, but that's 2 drivers. That's 2.
All right. Yeah, but if they had more cars, I think it would have been the same situation. This team seems to be locked in on pace. You know, everybody's just driving so cleanly. They have such strong pace. You know, on the first 3 rounds, Andrew, I don't think, you know, it's just been Sanchez, I think, the one odd man out that has been able to dethrone them. Obviously, in Detroit, round number 1, so far on this round. But they just seem so dialed in, don't they?
That they do. And, sorry, I was looking through. I just noticed. Well, first of all, Charles Jose lost another spot. Billy Bowerman, well, he's back on the racetrack. Guadagnoli is out. Philip Badurka. I'm not sure what happened to car 70 today. I believe it was that crash in turn 5. He's still way out of this, but Bjorn Stange, Brian Robinson. I'm just looking through timing and scoring, trying to find these battles. There's 3 or 4 from right now we could go to. We're going to go to this one. I think it's the highest up on the timing and scoring chart at the moment, as Bjorn just got by for the 8th spot. And JP, if you recall, this was a driver I had actually mentioned was trying to get some spots back a little while ago, and well, he just got one back. As now he's going to try and chase back down Joshua Lyon. I think Brian Robinson was kind of destined to be passed by these drivers after getting a couple of spots on the start. I think the long run speed is there for cars 24 and 2, more so than it is for car 123.
Yeah, and obviously right now, Stange has to catch up around 2.5, 2.3 seconds with 7 minutes to go. Andrew, he's going to have to put in some qualifying laps to be able to catch up with Lyon or hope for a mistake and obviously not make one on his own as well. But I can see the gap coming down already, 2 seconds, 2.1. So, you know, if he keeps this pace, I feel like it's going to be relatively close between them, but it's just a matter of nailing these sections, Andrew. This so technical sections. You were mentioning as well how easy it is to get an off track on some of these corners, and sometimes just going a little bit wild like that can also hurt your time on this racetrack. So it's just really difficult, really technical, but if you get it right, you can make up some serious time.
I thought you would never mention JP. Let's take a look, and I can kind of tell us right here where some of the biggest spots are on the racetrack that you've got to avoid for time cuts. Right here at turn 1 is a big one. But that's an obvious, right? Down at that apex, that's a big spot where you get it. Right here at corner apex for turn 2 is a big spot. The entry to that corner, and then here in turn 3 is a big spot where you can have slowdowns. On the exit of turn 4 is a big spot for it. Again here at the apex of 5, the apex of 6, the apex of, actually I don't believe 7. We'll count it anyways. It's a spot where you don't want to cut the racetrack as it is. Then again here on the exit of 10. I don't think that'll be a problem for these Porsche Cup drivers today. But then again, 12, the entry, the apex, the exit, the apex there of 13, and the exit of turn 14. There are spots littering this entire racetrack where you have to avoid getting a slowdown penalty. And the league is very much aware of this going into today, notifying drivers that if they do get a slowdown, they have to bleed that time away in a safe manner. And for the most part, they certainly suggest that you do it in a straight line on the straightaway, give that time up, but you can do it how you please for the most part, so long as you do not cause an incident. If you do cause an incident, giving up a slowdown, that's where the ruling really comes in. You will be found at fault, basically. If you are slowing down and cause an incident, that is your own problem. That's pretty much how the ruling went in layman's terms. So it's going to be more of an issue, I think, in the pro race than this amateur race, where we have a few more cars on the grid and certainly a difference in class and difference in battles. But it's going to be something to watch in our 15-minute race coming up.
And we were just looking at this battle right here, Andrew. We just saw John Kroom setting the fastest lap of the race, so also catching up. But this seems like a really good battle between teammates. Actually, the same even color scheme. So essentially, what we're seeing is, you know, the same teammates just battling for the same piece of tarmac. And you can see right here, Avon Dorsey really closing into Speaker. And the question is, Andrew, Speaker has been holding 4th place throughout the race. It seems like what we're seeing is just Fernando Alonso on another form in a racing league, just holding, this position since the start. Now, Avon Dorsey came in, well, he's trying to take that position away as Joe Nagy looks like had enough right before turn 13, looks like. So the number 77, unfortunately facing some issues. But yeah, coming to this battle, Andrew, 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Will Ilya lose 4th place? Do you think Avon Dorsey could make a move?
I think these guys have really had to come in together here. Yeah, I think at some point you're going to have to consider the fact that you are teammates and maybe swap these positions around. I think Avon certainly needs these spots, and we can take a look at the standings here. If we don't see a move in turn 14, we almost did. Take a look at the amateur standings. Ilya Speaker is 5th. Avon Dorsey is not even on this top 20 listing, so he can really use some spots. At the same time, maybe they see it the other way, where Ilya is their real focus, at least in this Rockefeller Racing green camp, to try and go up and battle for the championships. Maybe they want to keep Ilya in front of Avon Dorsey. It's really interesting and difficult to get an idea of, but a couple of options for sure there. You mentioned John Kroom was starting to reel in Chris Sanchez, and you're absolutely right. It's just not by much. He's still got 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 seconds to go to car 3, and I just don't think at all he's going to make that up now. 2.5 minutes to go in this race. Call it 2 laps when we get back to the start-finish line, as it's lap 20 of an expected 22. He's not going to get there.
Yeah, it's going to require a miracle to obviously take those 2.5 seconds away within 2.5 minutes remaining, essentially. So, yeah, I mean, Chris Sanchez, Andrew, looks like he's going to be on a record. I'm going to even knock on wood here because, we've had quite a fame of essentially, throwing the drivers, just under pressure. But yeah, Chris, got pole in Detroit, went on to dominate the race, got pole around here, and so far is dominating the race. Obviously not with such a big gap as he had in Detroit, but still, 3 seconds almost clear of 2nd place, 6 seconds clear of 3rd, and even nearly 20 seconds clear of 4th place. It's just been a stellar drive for the number 3.
That it has. I mean, he can relax at this point. Especially coming up to the lap car here of Otto Rosa in the 24th position. He really doesn't have to push. I think maybe you want to get by Rosa because then you have one more car of cushion, but really you don't have to push at all to get to Joe Nagy. Relax at this point. 2.5 seconds a gap, a lap and a half to go. You're already up over the hill at turn 8. Really, I think Chris can relax here at this point. Not too much, as Otto's going to get out of the way. Really nice gesture there from Rosa to just let the leader go on by, and you can see it's already cost Chris about a half second or so, but he's still got 4 more half seconds to rely on. I think he's doing okay.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like he doesn't have any left traffic inside. Just you can see one car just a few seconds up the road, but I don't think he's going to interfere too much as they're going to enter the final lap, and John Kroom obviously right now is going to have to pass Otto Rosa as well. And you can see just going a little bit wide, just opening up really that corner to get a good exit right here. Meanwhile, this battle, well, still going on. Less than a second separating the 4th and 5th place. And you can see right there, Chris Sanchez opened up the final lap of the race, Andrew.
And he has. You see some of the cars come by the flag stand. Barney is giving that white silk a wave. And here is your teammate battle we talked about. Ilya Speaker and Avon Dorsey still in the same, order in 4th and 5th. Excuse me. I've been doing a great job of getting to the mute button for a lot of those coughs. That one I couldn't. But as we work on to the final lap, this field is very spread out. This battle is very much close together, but I don't think they'll change spots. So other battles to watch this final lap about Don Gottlieb and Dean Kerr. Dean could try and grab the 14th position for Radness M Squad. And what a position that would be for the purple number 84. Further down the order, Volker Krebs and Chip Witt, 16th, 17th. Sean Patterson is defending over Samuel Bernardi. And that's about it, as Joe Nagy's got a problem again. He's into the pit lane and has towed there. Up ahead, Chris Sanchez, the final time through turn 12. How about turn 13, turn 14 next? And car number 3 is going back to victory lane in the North American Racing League, grabbing another one to match that at Detroit. Chris Sanchez back in victory lane in NARL.
What a drive for him. John Kroom as well. Really good a late race drive. Unfortunately, not enough to dethrone Sanchez, but well enough to gap his teammate by over 5 seconds. Meanwhile, like you see right here, the battle for 4th place. Looks like Elias Speaker is going to be able to hold off the pressure from Avon Dorsey to finish in 4th place, not moving up a single position throughout the race. A really good result for both teammates. Wendell Lear is going to finish in 6th place ahead of Joshua Lyon. Bjorn Stage looks like he's going to finish just behind him in 8th place. Then we're going to have to wait a few extra seconds, Andrew, to see Robinson and Tavares cross the finish line. And you can see right here this final few battle right here as we exit turns 12, through turns 13 and 14. Looks like Dean Kurt's not going to be close enough.
He's closing. That was a big bobble there to Gottlieb in turn 14, but it's just, as you said, not going to be, well, maybe it will be enough. Going to be very close here to the start-finish line for Dean Kurt, trying to get the 14th spot. Oh, he almost got him.
Wow, that was really close. Way closer than I expected. What a finish right there. Chip Witt finishing right behind them. And what a race we just had, Andrew. I already love this racetrack.
Definitely going to be a serviceable racetrack for the future, I'd say, in the North American Racing League. There goes Gary Weaver. We've still got Nick Polliard and Matthew Shervick to go on through. And that will wrap it up for the amateur race here at Redskogen Motor Center. All 22 cars on the lead lap were pretty darn close, I'd say, in pace over the course of that 22-lap race. Just a few stragglers there towards the bottom of the order that ended up being lapped. 6 cars total when it's all said and done. We'll take a look back at the unofficial race results, JP, and up front, of course, Chris Sanchez leading all but it looks like 1 lap, apparently, as John Kroom comes up second, Milan Harris third, Ilya Speaker fourth, Avon Dorsey your top 5, Wendell Lira, Joshua Lyon, Bjorn Stage, Brian Robinson, and Kleber Tavares your top 10.
11th place goes the way of Keith Wilfred. Charles Jose is going to finish in 12th place ahead of Adam Ballard. Don Gottlieb is going to finish in 14th place ahead of Dean Kurt. Chip Witt, 16th place ahead of Volker Krebs, Sean Patterson, Samuel Bernardi, and Gary Weaver.
Your final 8 cars in the order: Nick Polliard, Matthew Shervick there in 22nd, then Otto Rosa, Jay Robinson, Philip Bedurka, Joe Nagy, Billy Barrowman, and Robert Guadagnoli. A big shout out to those who make it happen for us at the North American Racing League. Of course, many partners that have been around for many seasons now. Infinite Racing Services, new to the series, new to the league, but good to have them along for the ride, providing these amateur setups. How about Moradness, M Squad? Daniel Morad out in the YouTube chat, always chatting it up with you guys that are watching. And that's the cool thing about it. You guys that are watching can chat with a factory Mercedes driver and a partner, a sponsor of this North American Racing League. That is, I think, one of the coolest things about the North American Racing League. And you can watch and chat with some of the guys that means so much here to the NARL, as well as Victorum, the new scoring partner, and Screw Compressor Service Incorporated. Chris Sanchez is locked in as your driver of the day in amateur. And JP, he's up first to talk to. Here comes car number 3, or I should say driver number 3, winning driver of the day.
Chris Sanchez, I mean, second time he got pole, second time he got a victory. I can kind of see a trend developing. How was it on your perspective, the race tonight?
Yeah, thank you. It was really good. First of all, I just want to say, get well soon, Andrew. And
was it that obvious?
And also congratulations to John and Milan. They were both super quick this whole 2 weeks. They were pushing me really, really hard. In terms of the race, I just knew I had to get off of the grid pretty fast because it's pretty tricky when you're racing other people here, a lot of off tracks. And then I was just building a gap so I didn't get slowed down too badly.
Sweet. And obviously, how was it to prepare on such a new track? Obviously, free to iRacing, free to everybody, but how was, just nailing down the track, nailing down the data? How difficult was it?
Yeah, that was, I'm so glad we got 2 weeks for this one because it's tricky with elevation and a lot of long corners. You really have to get it right.
And how do you prepare for Monza? I mean, it's not the usual Monza we are all used to racing with Porsche. It's going to be the completely different one. How do you prepare for that one?
Yeah, that's going to be tricky. I I'm not sure if there's going to be many guides on that one either, so it might just be off of feel. We'll see how that goes.
Oh, absolutely cannot wait to see what you have on store for us next week around Monza. I just want to, congratulate you on such a fantastic result today. Excellent pace. And hopefully we can talk to you next week as well.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And Andrew, that was Chris Sanchez. Victory number 2 for the car number 3.
And it comes over John Kroom in car 45 this evening, leading the charge for Rockefeller Racing. John, another successful round for you and company, but you had to battle a little bit there with Milan Harris. What was going on there earlier in the race?
Yeah, well, I got a slowdown early, and so I let him go around me, but then later in the race he was struggling, and so he said looks like you got more pace, and so I got around Milan, but by that time, Chris had already checked out. He rode Chris. Hats off to him, because we really put a lot of hours into practice, and I do want to say just really quick, I did a session with a couple of sessions actually with Dino Filippo, one of the pros that does lessons here, and I have to say it really helped a lot. So I wanted to make sure I gave him a shout out.
Absolutely love those guys over Infinite Racing Services. John, you mentioned slowdowns, and I think that's the big thing we'll be talking about in this pro race coming up. Of course, the league kind of sent out a memo about it, but
right.
What should we expect, I guess, for the pros coming up for 15 minutes of racing here? Those tires are going to wear completely out, and here you definitely need tires to avoid those slowdowns.
Oh, it's going to be hard to avoid them because there's so many, and actually one caught me off guard. The one I got there was going wide on the last turn, which I don't think I've gotten one there before. So it was kind of, I was like, oh wow, I got to slow down there too. I hadn't hit those. There's so many of them though in turn 1, and I mean in turn 3, 4. I mean there's so many. That it's going to be really hard to avoid. Especially I couldn't imagine doing another. What is it, 25 minutes they've got to do on if they don't change tires? So they'll be really trying to save those, because this track there's no break on them,
Absolutely. It's definitely a challenging day whenever you look into the rules tab on iRacing, and all corners, but I think 7, 8, and 9 are listed to have a specific ruling with slowdowns. So definitely an interesting one. But John, thanks for your time. Hopefully we're talking to you next week at Monza. Best of luck there in Italy.
Thanks so much, Andrew.
John Kroom, another successful run with Rockefeller Racing. Those guys dominating as per usual, just bested in driver positions, I suppose, by Chris Sanchez this evening, JP. But another successful amateur round in general, and these point standings are going to change a whole bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how it all affects next week around in Monza. And yeah, after that, Andrew, after tonight's race, after this result, we are halfway done with the championship. So, time now and pressure will be building up on the drivers to essentially, get as many points, practice even more, because, well, we only have 4 more rounds, and 4 tricky rounds, I'd say, especially Monza next week. That's going to be a fantastic race, and I feel like that's going to move up quite a few positions as well.
It's going to be a difficult one to set a car up for. You need to have ride height to avoid bottoming out through the oval portion, or you're going to lose way too much time. But of course, that's going to compromise your speed in other corners. It's going to be very much give and take next week, both on the racetrack and in the garage. And I'm excited to see how things go. Of course, we are racing on the combined full layout without chicanes next week at Monza. Then we go to Brazil, Germany, and Sebring for pretty ordinary rounds by comparison. The usual layouts for Brazil and Sebring for sure, but Germany will be racing on the WEC layout, which again is relatively expected. It's not too crazy at all. So we will see you guys in the pro race here in just a few, but in case you're not going over to the pro race, in case you're not staying with us for that quick break, let's take a look at our upcoming broadcasts here at Pit Stop TV. You can see a couple of late model broadcasts back to back, but first up, it's the Sim Pit Radical Series from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park on Sunday afternoon at 1:30 Eastern. So while we're getting it on with Monaco, Indianapolis, and Charlotte, right smack in the middle of all of that, we've got some racing from Canadian Tire. Then Monday, on Memorial Day, we go down to USA International Speedway, a great way, I think, to pay some honor to those who have given their all for the United States of America. That will certainly be a good way to spend that day. And then Tuesday, we go to Concord Speedway for round 3 of the D-Line Racing League. And JP, that will do it for us for the amateur race. That means we have pros and pro-ams coming up. Do not go anywhere. We've got 50 minutes of racing coming up next for the pros in the North American Racing League.
My name is Scott Reister. I'm the creator of North American Racing League, also a NARL Porsche Cup driver, broadcasted live by Pit Stop TV.
Hi, my name is John Sedlak, and I race for Firelight Esports in North American Racing League. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/diesel_dad.
Hello, I am Dino Filippa, sim racer from Argentina, current champion, and I will be competing in the championship for the ERS team and also providing the data for each race for the participant drivers.
Hey guys, I'm Marco Saavedra, and I'm a NARL Porsche Cup driver representing Infinite Racing Services. I'm a race winner and multiple podium finisher on the last NARL GT3 season, so I'll be working to get even better results this championship on a different car. See you all on track.
Hi guys, I am Ricardo Rico from Spain. I drive with Zenith Esports and I will be doing this Porsche Cup season in the North American Racing League. I hope you can catch with us on the Pit Stop TV broadcast and we will try to give you a good show. See ya!
Hi, my name is Lyubov. I'm full-time streamer, content creator, ambassador for Master and Excel Racing. And also, I'm North American Racing League Porsche Cup driver.
Hey guys, my name's Ryan Kerr. Looking forward to racing in NARL, broadcast by Pit Stop TV again this season. This time in the pro category after last season's good result. Racing again with Mirandas. Looking forward to seeing everybody out on track.
Hi, my name is David Schwartz. I'm 36 years old. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm representing the Mirandas M squad. And in real life, I'm the 2018 D Street Las Vegas region autocross champion, also an STCA time trial winner, and I've been sim racing for about 6 years.
Hi, I am Dalton Zavidal, driver for SimCity Racing and North American Racing League Porsche Cup driver. I am the 2021 Colorado Karting Tour iRacing Winter Series champion and the 2022 Season 1 Porsche Cup Pro-Am champion.
Olá, meu nome é Jackson Rezende, faço parte da Texaco Race by TK e sou piloto da North American Race League Porsche Cup.
Hey guys, Bruno Do Carmo here from Texaco Racing by TK, Pro World Championship license back in 2017, and now I'm a North American Racing League Porsche Cup driver.
Hello guys, my name is Gustavo Ariel and I'm Texaco Racing by Tony Canan driver, and I'll be driving on the North American Racing League Porsche Cup Championship. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Virtual World Skogan Motor Center. Chris Sanchez, the driver of the day and the race winner for the amateurs. Let's see who can do it now for the pros and pro-ams. Ricardo Rico leading things in practice as we get into the sim here. Thanks for joining us once again at Pit Stop TV. It is always appreciated. As there we go, we'll fly on into the sim and take a look at how things are going for the pros coming into round 4. Dalton Zavadil up top, Gustavo Ariel there in second, Luan Hott, Alec Bergstrom, very close, very tight there at the top of the Pro-Am side, and in both classes, third place is 10 points back, so your top 3 are then 10 points, but things a little bit tighter, a little further down on the Pro-Am side.
Yeah, really good to see. Obviously, Dalton leading the championship. If you recall, last time out, Gustavo got a last corner, essentially, penalty. Really dropped him, and now he's going to have to fight back through the championship. Meanwhile, Luan Hott on the Pro-Am side leading the championship. Only 5 points between him and Bergstrom. Andrew, really close championship right there. And then, obviously, you mentioned Thomas Rayleigh, 10 points. Aubrey Kondo, 12. Miguel Colon, 13. And Stacy Bertrand, 18 points. So, less than 20 points separate the top 6 on the Pro-Am side. That's going to be a fun race to just keep watching, see who's going to come out on top. Really, things could change. I know we mentioned this time and time again, but still, it's very close and very exciting on the Pro-Am side.
That's a look again at the top, the top 10 of each set of standings here in the pro race. We've got cars heading out onto the racetrack. Let's take one more look here at the schedule before we get rolling for qualifying for these guys. Definitely a compelling schedule. We've seen that time and time again for the North American Racing League. We opened things up at Belle Isle round 1 in April, then went to Italy, Barber, and now Norway this evening before we go to Monza for the combined layout next week. And I mentioned we're going to see one of our greatest, if not our greatest, setup struggle next week at Monza. But then that 3-race stretch to the NJP, very traditional Grand Prix layouts. What do you feel for those?
For the last 3, it's going to be exciting. Obviously, Brazil just lies on my heart. Obviously, my home track. It's the best racetrack in the world. Running the Nürburgring GP, that's going to be fun, Andrew. I don't think we did that. For a long time. I do remember we did that a few times, but it's been a while. And obviously Sebring, I know you absolutely love Sebring, so it's going to be a little bit for both of us, on our taste, but it's just going to be exciting, just the last shootout for the 3 races, and obviously the bonus race we're going to have at Long Beach. It's going to be exciting, and hopefully the championship tightens up a little bit more so we can have even more exciting as the stakes get higher and higher.
Well, it's definitely tight already. Hopefully we can get more drivers in that tight battle for sure. Qualifying on the racetrack, as I mentioned, Martin Gramigna, one of the first on track in car 23. We'll take a look through some of the paint schemes, most of the paint schemes, if anything, as Martin sends it for a slide there to turn 10. Here's Dalton Zavadil. And the interesting thing about Dalton tonight is he is not racing from home. He is actually racing from his teammate's house, Ryan Amon, for SimCity Racing, who has not made a start yet this season in the North American Racing League. I don't think he's registered this season, so he is racing from a teammate sim, so everything's a little bit new. He mentioned earlier, no clutch pedal on that sim. So It's going to be a big-time adjustment for sure for Dalton today, but we'll see if he's able to keep up his pace. He was still quick in practice, maybe a little less so than we could have expected if he was racing from home. Here's Aubrey Kundal from the Pro-Am class. How about Johan Shirazi from Geodesic in the Pro class? Fabio Zamperlini, former GT3 champion here in North American Racing League competition, in car 27 for Duck Hawk Racing. Marco Saavedra from Infinite Racing Services. How about his teammate, Dino Filippa from 99 to 1 for IRS Infinite Racing Services.
Beautiful paint schemes that you can see right here. Number 81 of Adam Hartzell as well. Looks like he's down into, I'm not quite sure which corner that was. Alec Bergstrom that we mentioned, second place in the Pro-Am standings. Andrew, a lot to fight for on tonight's race. The number 166. It looks like he's exiting turns 12, heading into 13 and 14. So yeah, quite a few.
And I would say, JP, that he's been the most intriguing Pro-Am driver to me this season. I don't know about you, but this guy has really been turning some heads, at least my head. It seems like every single week, this Advanced Sim Racing Moradness M Squad driver has really been lighting things up.
And so we're definitely going to keep an eye out for him. You can see right there, Andrew, early on, you could be within hints of your possible driver of the day right here, Alex. So quite a lot of shoes to fill in for Andrew right here, but hopefully he can put in a fantastic run of events. Looks like he's currently third place on the Pro-Am sides. And it looks like, Andrew, the Pro-Am, it's quite close. Thomas Rayleigh, Luan Hott, just less than a tenth separating, a bit more than a tenth, I should say, separating them both.
Yeah, Thomas Rayleigh picking up where he left off from Detroit just a few weeks late. He went out there and dominated the Pro-Am class at Detroit round 1 of the season, but has kind of faltered since then, currently leading qualifying for Pro-Am competition. Alex Jenkins, another really astounding Pro-Am driver so far this season. A little ways back on lap 1, but of course has time to gain on those lap times. How about Gustavo? It's not Gustavo. Well, yes, Gustavo, but he's not on track yet. How about Giuliano Romagnolo, though? Stu in car 55, of course, for Moradness M Squad, sporting his Porsche Esports Canada livery. Oh, that was a little bit wide, and it sounds like Stu was running into this race with zero practice, JP. That's going to be a challenging one for sure, and he's learning quickly just how challenging this racetrack is.
Yeah, if you run any track on this league with no practice, and you're bound to struggle, but a brand new track as well with not a lot of experience, this is definitely going to be interesting for...
He's quickest. Oh, wow. Quickly beat out there by Dalton Zavadil. Wow. Giuliano Romagnolo, where does it come from?
Is that the positive side of commentator's curse? Is it a curse if it happens like that? But wow, 0.7 of a second on the first flying lap with absolutely no practice. That's something to be proud of, and I'm pretty sure he can fight plenty more time. So yeah, really good lap for him. Dino Filippa obviously beat Zavadil. Ricardo Rico now going a little bit quicker, 16,000. So margins are definitely thin up in the top, Andrew.
Everybody's times are rolling in now. Ricardo Rico up top. Dino Filippa in second place. Marco Saavedra third. Dalton Zavadil fourth. Martin Grimigna currently on pole for Pro-Am in the 5th spot. Alex Jenkins in 6th. Stu still in the top 10 in 7th. Luan Hott in 8th. Fabio Zamperlini, Alec Bergstrom in the 10th position. Then Thomas Rayleigh, Johan Shirazi, Love 46th and 13th spot. Aubrey Kundal in 14th. Adam Hartzell 15th. Scott Angelo in 16th. Miguel Colon down here in 17th spot. Armando Mejeran in 18th. Finally, Scott Reister in 19th. An off day for him. You can see he's very much struggling with this circuit, ahead of guys like Jackson Rosende, Dominic Turcotte, and Gustavo Ariel. None of those 3 drivers have turned a time yet, so watch for Rosende and Ariel especially to light up the board here shortly, as Dalton Zavadil on his final lap of qualifying goes to provisional pole.
That's exactly what he needs, and you're leading the standings. And he wants to lead qualifying. He wants to lead every single lap of the race if it is possible. Number 51, Ricardo Rico, taking a tight line through turns 14. You can see right there, and you're not quite sure which one is the faster, taking essentially a wider and cutback line or just going narrow. We're about to find out as Ricardo Rico crossed the line, 121.992, and
that is pole.
That is enough. 1/10 ahead of Zavadil. So yeah, the number 51 on provisional pole, Andrew. I feel like we still have a few drivers yet to close the lap.
Shirazi, a pro driver from Geodesic. Does he have enough? He's going to pick up time, but not for pole. He will stay south of 10th. In fact, going up to 12th position from 13th. Miguel Colon could be a dark horse pick for pole maybe through turn 12 and 13. A Pro-Am driver. He's been quick before. He's only a second and a half off based on his last lap time, he could certainly place his car inside the top 5. Let's see what he can do. Coming around the final corner to the start-finish line, Miguel Colon. It's not going to be for pole. It's a 1:23.112. Still not bad. 12th quick ahead of Shirazi, but certainly could have been faster. As you take a look now at the Scott Angelo machine in car 68, the literal dark horse livery there from Radness M Squad. And how about Jackson Resende from Texaco Racing by TK? And don't feel bad, Daniel. There is more than one driver that I think is lacking a number board that would match up this. By the way, drivers, if you're listening, if you go back and listen, if you're listening live, whatever, check in the Discord, because the league admins have sent out a few different memos about getting league stickers on your cars, whether it's the pro decals on the bumpers or just the colored number boxes on the sides of the car. And you can see Jackson's got a few of those decals, JP, missing a couple on the side, but certainly closer than some. Listen to the league admins, check into Discord, see what you might need to do, see if maybe you're one of those drivers that is still needing to do that for your livery. I know trading paints can be kind of confusing sometimes. Work with league admins, they can help you out. As Jackson Resende comes to the line, and we lost him there. There's Resende now across the line, a 1:22.133. It's quick, it's third.
Good lap for him. He still has time for one more, but I don't think he's going for it. So he's going to line up in third place, a good starting position for him. And yeah, really good for the number 96. I don't see Gustavo. I'm not quite sure if he has a penalty for qualifying, but he didn't set a lap time injury, so he might be starting from the back end of the grid.
It looks that way, as Dominic Turcotte will join him as one of the only 2 drivers not to turn a time in this qualifying session. So weather conditions, we saw they were rather cool in race 1 for the amateurs. How about race 2? 63.7 degrees, clear skies, 67 degree track temp. It's still very, very cool here in Norway. Still, what a picturesque day. Crisp blue skies, exactly what you want for racing.
Absolutely, and exactly, I mean, it's just going to be the perfect side for these drivers. I don't think they focus too much on the beauty when they're racing injury, but we can certainly focus on it when we do have just a few seconds just to essentially gaze at it. But yeah, what a fantastic racetrack. Absolutely loving my first experience around here. And I kind of wish I was in Norway just to, get to know the racetrack, get to know the country. But, from the comfort of my home, it definitely seems like a very nice place to watch, a race going on.
Absolutely. If you're new to us here at Pit Stop TV, we invite you to follow along on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Kick, all of the sort. It is not the average of the 3 laps. That's a good question, actually. It is not Indy qualifying, where you take the average of the laps. It is the fastest lap time of the 3. I wonder if Giuliano might have tipped a wheel if maybe his time isn't seeming correct, but we have cars heading to the grid, JP. 22 in total for our grid this evening. Let's meet our front row. Starting first, it's Ricardo Rico in car 51. What a round it would be for him if he's able to go up there and grab a win. Dalton Zavadil will start from second. Starting third, car 96, Jackson Resende, a buzzer beater of a lap time, will start just on the left side of Dino Filippa from Infinite Racing Services, whose teammate will start from 5th. Mark Gramigna on the Pro-Am pole will start from 6th, ahead of Stu in position number 7. Fabio Zamperlino will get up 8th. To round out your top 10, it is Scott Reister and Pro-Am 2nd place, Luen Hop.
Starting off in 11th place, we're going to have Alec Jenkins, the number 9, and the number 166 of Alec Bergstrom in 12th place. 13th place, we're going to have Miguel Colon, the number 87, and the number 66 of Johan Shirazzi, lining up in 14th place. 15th place entry, we're going to have Thomas Riley on the inside, the number 420, and the number 53 of Avery Kundal lining up alongside. 17th place, we're going to have the number 46 of Low 46, and Armando Bejarran right alongside. Adam Hartzell is going to line up in 19th, ahead of Scott Angelo in 20th place.
Your back row on the grid, Gustavo Ariel and Dominic Turcotte, as we expect all 22 drivers at the drop of the green, although maybe not for Gustavo. He has not joined the grid just yet. Neither has Ricardo Rico. I don't know if they're making last-minute setup changes or what, as there's Ricardo. And that has not tipped our timer yet, so Gustavo must be in the session, as we're waiting to see if we are going to have one of our top drivers in the field tonight or not. We're waiting on the green flag signal. It's not often we have to wait. This is, there we go. No Gustavo in the field, it looks like, for the start of this race. That's changing things for sure, but we are waiting the green flag signal from the flag stand. Ricardo Rico on pole, Lauren Zavadil second, and up the hill we go. Green flag in Norway. And wow, Stu had a big send. He's already up to 4th place. The mother of all sends up the inside to the inside wall there on the front stretch through turns 2 and 3. Everybody's safe. All 21 cars headed down the hill to turn 3.
You can see just a beautiful side. I think we were going 3 wide back there as we narrow it down to 2 wide, but definitely drivers taking a little bit of extra risks. And on lap number 1, definitely want to get a few extra positions. But meanwhile, at the top, you can see right there, I think Resende got a position just at the start. We saw Romagnolo as well really being aggressive on the start, but you can see right here, everybody nearly single file, Andrew. And now we're kind of seeing that trade, but as we have we saw on the amateur race, I do expect to see a few moves happening sooner than later. Not a huge gap separating them, Andrew. As you can see right here, less than a second separating the top 3. Looks like Resende now losing a little bit of the grip to Ricardo Rico, but falling under pressure from Dino Filippa. Romagnolo right behind them, trying to essentially, trying to get a glimpse. Maybe if they go side by side, he can get a few positions. He can definitely catch up. But yeah, the number 55, Andrew, a good start from him. Definitely still within a shot. The top 4 very close together. This would be the worst case scenario if one hot heat. I don't think you remember, or maybe you do, a few rounds ago he was just very excited to be leading the championship, or close to leading. Said he was just going to be thinking about the bigger picture. So if he somehow loses it due to connectivity issues, that's going to be a heartbreak for him. But hopefully, he can come back. But meanwhile, we can see right here, Alec Bergstrom, Andrew, he's going to be taking full advantage, currently sitting 11th place overall, but 3rd place on his class. Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the slowdowns on the previous race, Andrew. Pretty much every single corner has them, so it's really important to be careful. And you can see right here from this inside, essentially, perspective, you can see just how much over the line they go. But as long as they don't cross with all 4 tires, they're just going to be A-okay. So yeah, so far they have to be careful. It's still 45 minutes to go. And last week we saw a few drivers. Oh, as we had like
Bergstrom, a slowdown. He's given up a lot of time here between turns 2 and 3. There we go. As now Dalton Zavadil gives a spot up to Marco Saavedra, slides into the 6th position. Does Zavadil. And he's going to try and hold that spot over Zamperlini. That will be a little more easy for car 24. Well, a lot just happened, and I had a whole great monologue, as sometimes I do with the mic muted. I'm trying to keep on top of that so I don't cough in anybody's ear. So I don't know if I double-clicked by accident when I went to re-enable it, or I've been having a weird issue with my mouse lately. Anyways, glad we got that sorted. And thanks for the mention there in YouTube about it. Here's Dino Filippa on the back end of Jackson Sunday. I was going on, JP, about how we're not used to seeing only one Texaco Racing by TK car in the field, and this is going to change things. We don't have a whole team, a whole fleet of cars for Jackson Sunday to bounce off of. We don't have Gustavo in the field for whatever reason, whether it's just using it as a drop week or I don't know, but there you see, Jackson Sunday has to give a spot up early to Dino Filippa, and that's going to forever change the scope of this race. He now falls back to 3rd, going to be right in the hands of Giuliano Romagnolo, and that might have been a slowdown as well. So this is a very odd race for the Texaco Racing by TK bunch. In this case, it's really not even a bunch, it's a solo driver.
Yeah, and what was the last time we saw, Texaco just having one driver on the grid? Normally, they're just dominating the first part, and you can see right there the number 55 really getting close, almost falling under pressure, almost getting overtaken, I should say, by Saavedra right behind. So it's a really close field, but yeah, Andrew, Resende now has quite a bit of pressure on his shoulders to make sure that car finishes in a good position, as well as we're used to seeing, that classic at this point livery on the top steps of the podium, or at least on the podium 90% of the time. You can see right here, the number 55, Romagnolo, really struggling, Andrew, and Saavedra trying to find any way past the number 55. So Romagnolo, from attacking, now has to defend.
Yeah, I think he has the single lap pace down okay, but as these tires wear out, he's starting to have some issues. And really, these tires aren't even wearing out yet. It's just they're taking heat, and they're changing their properties, if you will. The way the car drives is changing ever so slightly, and yeah, that's a lot of missed apexes in a row for car 55. He backs up way off of Jackson Resende by over a second, and now into the clutches of Marco Saavedra. Further back, you see a line of cars forming. Fabio Zamperlini, Martin Gramigna. Gramigna now the Pro-Am race leader over Alex Jenkins. And oh boy, we've got a line of Pro-Am drivers behind that. Miguel Colon, Thomas Raley, Alec Bergstrom. Things really shaping up here in the midfield.
Yeah, this is a good battle to keep an eye out for. The battle for the midfield in the amateur class was kind of the one to keep an eye out for. Up ahead, we had a few moves, but essentially it was the whole pack on the middle. And you can see right there, a few drivers blanking, Andrew. We saw that as well in the amateur race. Hopefully it's not too big of a deal. But yeah, you can see just how close they are. One small mistake like you're used to seeing, or even a small slowdown, could even cost you, I think, up to 6th position on this pack.
Or more. This goes back to Scott Angelo in 16th, if not further, as here's a side-by-side right in front of him. Aubrey Kundal on the outside. Love 46 goes on through on the inside there at turn 12. So Love 46 up one spot as well. Very close there, and one car's around. Johan Shirazi in turn 14.
Oh, the geodesic driver going around, losing a bunch of spots, and he's going to drop all the way to last place, 20th place, Andrew. Now he's going to have to roll it all back, and you can see right there struggling a little bit as well with the tires as the tail wiggles on exit. So really unfortunate for him, but yeah, now the number 66 down in 20th place has a lot of work to do, Andrew, starting off with those two drivers just ahead of him. Meanwhile, as we cut a bit forward to the front, this battle right here, 3 cars going at it as we head into turn number 2.
This is right back to Love 46, Aubrey Kundal, and Scott Angelo, right where we were at. Angelo in 16th, Kundal in 15th, Love 46 in 14th. Bergstrom ahead of these guys, the 13th spot. Thomas Raley in 12th, as we've got a problem. Dominic Turcotte and Armando Bejaran in turns 3 and 4. Around, they were the 2 cars right in front of Johan Shirazi. For the first time today, I think we're taking a pro race replay. As well, we're going to have to take one more replay. We'll watch this kind of unfold. There's Shirazi way out wide in turn 14. We'll just kind of watch all of this transpire over the course of the next half lap or so. And by the way, Good to see Luan Hot in the chat. It's just unfortunate that we're seeing Luan Hot in the chat before the race is even 10 minutes complete, confirming that he had an internet disconnection, connectivity issue, whatever you want to call it. This is the issue on track for Beharan and Turcotte.
So you can see right here down into turn number 3, heading into turn number 3, I should say, but also downhill, and you can see right there, just the smallest of contacts as well, Andrew. You can see right there, Armando Beharan just being a little too brave on the braking. I think he realized it just on the first apex that he was just carrying way too much speed, and you could see just almost in slow motion the back end going out, and you can see right here he goes down and then the back end just steps out, and unfortunately he just tags. It's just really unfortunate, really small contact. So luckily for them, no big damage.
We just had an issue for Giuliano Romagnolo, no longer right in front of Marcos Saavedra. He has dropped out of the 4th position due to this moment here. Contact with Saavedra through turn 4, and that will not go over well with the M Squad fans. That is a big issue for Giuliano. No big damage, thankfully, but a big slide there. It's going to tear those tires up, and of course, just lost about 5 or 6 positions.
Yeah, really unfortunate. That was a good start for Romagnolo in this race, almost going up to 3rd place at one point, but yeah, unfortunately it's going to be set back. Luckily, as we like to mention, a long race, and you can see right there, again, a small contact gets dragged around, and hopefully he doesn't have anything too major injury from that, extra contact that pretty much sent his car up on 2 wheels, but yeah, he dropped that certainly quite a few positions. Now taking an onboard from Marcos Saavedra to see exactly what happened. And the number 99 was looking to make this move, Andrew, for a few laps now. And looking on slow motion exactly what happened. A bit of a different line as they had an entry to the corner. You can see right here Saavedra going a little bit tighter. And then you can see right there Romagnolo kind of drifts wide. But Andrew, he's going to take a cut back line. Saavedra at this point is well committed. And you can see right there the door closing. And then contact is made.
Yeah, that's a difficult spot. I understand what Saavedra was going for, but in no point there was there going to be an opportunity for Stu to check the mirror and see that there was a car coming inside. There was just never time, I think, for that move. That's tough. That is really tough, especially this early in the race. I see the open door that Marcos was going for. I just don't see how Stu was supposed to do anything to accommodate that. So it's one of the situations where you just got to back out, I think. And unfortunately, we had a bit of a run-in with those two. And, well, you see one driver has gotten through it. One driver has not, for the most part. And Stu has some work to do.
Yeah, he definitely has. But luckily for him, the pace was definitely there. It only dropped to 9th place. So still within a good shot of getting an excellent result. Still in the top 10, which is important. And it looks like his first victim, Andrew, he's going to be relying on is 2nd place on the Pro-Am, Jenkins, who is actually quite close to 1st place in the Pro-Am, Gramigna. So those two having a good race so far, still in the top 10 and very close together.
While we're thinking about the Pro-Am battle, let's actually go up to the overall lead battle. Dino Filippa not so far back from Ricardo Rico, and this gap has been ebbing and flowing, growing and shrinking. And quite frankly, we might see it narrow more than we thought by the end of this opening run. But before we get to the pit stops, I think we'll see Dino kind of turn things up a little bit. Usually, if somebody's able to hang on within a second of the lead to this point in the race, JP, we see them do that. We see them gain a bunch of time back because they've been holding back early in the race. So watch for this to tighten up as it's about 7.5 tenths onto the front straightaway. And we'll see if Dino's saving anything here to turn 1. Let's listen. Wow. Not saving anything, no clutch in there, but Dino, purple, a 122.287. That tells the whole story as he's gotten a little bit closer now through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, the slipstream definitely working up a treat on Dino Filippa. Obviously, at this point, he could be closing in and saving some fuel, Andrew, but I don't think it's going to be too much an effect on this racetrack. But obviously, any sort of fuel save is going to be good enough for them, and it's an opportunity to jump the driver ahead. And obviously now, the strategy is going to be what Dino chooses, track position or, just saving a little bit of fuel and trying to essentially just undercut Ricardo Rico on the pit stops. So far, I'd say I'd prefer an on-track battle, and just seeing those two going at it will certainly be a pleasure to the eyes.
Nice and tidy there in turn 10. Filippa gets closer. And, they're both pushing. Ricardo got wide there on exit, nearly out into the grass out of turn 10. Meanwhile, problems. Alex Jenkins out wide. A battle with Giuliano Romagnolo. And car 55 goes through. Car 9 shoved out to the dirt nearly. Let's take a look back at what goes on there. That was unexpected.
Yeah, taking a look at the replay right here, you're going to see exactly what happened. Once again, you can see right here the number 9, Giuliano just behind him. You can see taking a little bit of curb. That doesn't seem to affect this car too wide. You can see it right up ahead, Andrew. Another driver went really wide, but seeing what happened here to number 9, you can see right there, Romagnolo, I think, got a little bit loose under braking, and now everybody starts to check up a little bit. And now it's a big train forming up, and there we go. That's a bit of a contact, almost a NASCAR move, isn't it?
A little bit. That was in turn 8, but the real thing happens down here in turn 10. There goes Giuliano to the inside, and he uses a bit of late braking and late moving himself to just kind of bully his way by Alex Jenkins. Hey, it works out. At least there, nobody goes sideways and loses 5 or 6 spots, but definitely kind of used that to his own advantage, as Martin Grabigna has since gone on by Fabio Zamperlini, leaving the former GT3 champ to the devices of Stu behind. And this time, Giuliano not able to get to the inside there of Fabio, but I'm sure he's got something cooking here, so we'll let him cook. As we take a look over at the YouTube chat, I see a very interesting username, by the way. The Cow, mentioning that they thought maybe using the clutch to save fuel was patched out of iRacing entirely. That's not the case, and it's actually very useful over on the stock car racing side. Very much a big part of strategy there, even with the next-gen car that now has the independent rear suspension and 5-speed gearbox from supercars. It's very much a real-life aspect in certain cars, but iRacing has worked on it and patched it out of some cars, such as the Dallara P217, the LMP2 car, as, Fabio Zamperlini, a slide there out of turn 2, gives up that spot quickly to Giuliano Romagnolo, no contact needed, and Stu goes on by for 7th spot, as Dino Filippa has drawn all closer here to Ricardo Rico, and actually has to bail out there in turn 8. Wow.
Yeah, that was a bit too close for Filippa. Now he's going to be losing all that hard work that got him to that position. You can see right there, 0.7 of a second behind, but looks like the pace advantage, Andrew, is going to the number 1. As you can see right there, the number 51 going just a tiny little bit wide. So it looks like the momentum is shifting, and is shifting towards Dino's side right now.
And just to wrap up that moment, I guess that thought to the Cow over on YouTube, that really was done to fall in line mostly with cars that it wouldn't be realistic in, such as prototypes and other high downforce cars for the most part, that you're not going to see that kind of strategy. I'm not sure the full list of cars that's patched out of, but it's still available here for both sets of cars the North American Racing League runs, GT3 and Porsche GT3 Cup. So very much a part of strategy here in this league, and I think that goes understated. I know we do our best to talk about it, JP, but it goes understated more often than not, I feel like, especially with how important it is to these races. But it's not happening here today from what we've seen, so I guess there's just enough off-throttle moments for these guys to lift a little bit early and coast, as we're seeing Dino Filippa really work here on Ricardo Rico through the mid portion of this race. Already coming up to 30 minutes to go. That'll be 20 minutes complete. We're nearly halfway.
Yeah, time is flying on this racetrack. These battles certainly keep us entertained, and obviously it really does spice things up. And you can see right here, Filippa really, helping us on that point, Andrew, closing up the gap once again. You can see right there, under braking. This corner right here seems to be the strongest corner for him, just really being able to close up, and Ricardo just hasn't been able to essentially counteract that. So yeah, it's gonna be a good battle right here, Andrew. 0.3 of a second. If he can get these two last corners really lined up, and obviously the first 2 corners as well, he's gonna be within a real shot on the back straightaway to get this position.
Meanwhile, back to your Pro-Am fight. We're going to check this just for a minute, then go back to our leaders. We've still got Alex Jenkins, Fabio Zamperlini, and Stu tied up in a big moment here as Dino swerves about on the front stretch to try and find a way through for turn 1. Not able to do it. Back to those guys for the Pro-Am lead. Alex Jenkins is falling a little ways back, and oh, big block there from Stu for turn 1. A big swerve across the racetrack on Fabio Zamperlini, and Alex Jenkins is behind this, I think, trying to go by it. I think he might have the pace to at least go by Fabio, but it's going to be, I think these 3 or 4 cars, throw in Scott Reister, are all of very similar pace, so it's hard to say who's faster right now.
Yeah, the similar pace obviously kind of helps them, but obviously hinders them as well. The injury is really close. It's really difficult to essentially get past someone when they have the exact same pace as you. Obviously, we saw an example of that, I guess you can kind of say, with Zamperlini, just making a small mistake and allowing Romagnolo to get by, and that's the kind of idea that you need. Almost he uses the bumper to get past Romagnolo. Yeah, just a tiny little tap, but looks like it wasn't enough to upset the number 55 Porsche, but yeah, it's just trying to force the driver ahead into a mistake, maybe sometimes using, that Michelin man right there to essentially give him a little bit of a bump, but that wasn't the case. Meanwhile, you can see right there, Romagnolo going defensive. This could hurt him on exit entry. This is the move that you were mentioning, trying to line up, but looks like this time the number 55 is able to keep his position.
It's so difficult to get it right, and we're seeing exactly what Bjorn Stage is mentioning over in YouTube chat. It's so hard to pass here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like a go-kart track almost. It feels so tight on the inner portion, the mid portion of the lap. It feels like a go-kart track in some corners, where you've got to set up moves, corners, if not laps in advance. You really have to be calculated, and this. It's an interesting situation with this racetrack. I think it really promotes some of the best racing skill that we've seen all season. More so than just getting a draft on the backstretch, for example, at I'm trying to think, any racetrack, really. It's more than just minding the bumps or minding the curbs and playing attrition at Detroit. It's more than playing attrition really through the same chicanes and whatnot at Imola. That's really how the first couple of rounds went, huh? It was just a lot of chicanes and attrition. Even at Barber last week, you just had to miss that opening crash for the most part and not get too many incidents. Here, I feel like you've really got to go toe-to-toe and really work for passes more or less. There aren't many drafting opportunities. You've got the one on the front stretch, but I'm not really sure how serviceable that entry to turn 3 is because of how awkward it is in this car specifically. I'm not sure how much you can really use that as you're turning and braking in this Porsche GT3 Cup car. I suppose that can be proven wrong. I'm sure it will be before the end of this race, but it just seems like it's tough to pass there and really everywhere on this entire racetrack.
But it's making for fantastic racing. We can see just how close the pack is. Mistakes are happening.
Jenkins putting the clutch in here. I wonder where fuel is at for Grimegna as well as Jenkins. If Jenkins is fuel saving here, he's trying to leapfrog Romagnolo and Zamperlini in the pit stop.
This is going to help him as well because Grimegna up ahead, the leader of the Pro-Am, I think he's running on clear air. Yeah, just 4 seconds behind Zavadil. So he's in completely clear air. He's going to be able to save a little bit of fuel and manage his pace, but not nearly as much as Jenkins. And obviously Jenkins right here, Andrew, if he can keep up the pace with Romagnolo and Zamperlini, he might be within a shot of closing up the gap just a tiny little bit to Grimegna. And with the undercut of fuel, he could definitely still be within a shot of this Pro-Am victory.
No clutch there, of course. The big spot where you're going to hear clutch in is going to be turn 1, which is interesting as well because it's an uphill turn 1. Not quite like Coda, but of the same category where it's uphill into that braking zone. It's easy to decel because the hill kind of works with you there. And we've got problems, maybe. Love 46, I think, blinking out briefly. Yep, she's having some connection issues. Well, hopefully that sorts out. As let's go back up to Scott Reister, who's pitting early.
The number 42 going early on the stop. Andrew maybe trying to get some clear air, just running on his own. He's definitely going to be he is the first one to do that. So we're going to have a good idea of how much time the drivers are going to waste, not only on the pit lane as a whole, but also on the pit stops as he comes to a stop, gets the car fueled up, yet any fast repairs if he needs, and within 5 seconds, he's away.
There goes Scott Reister. Quick fuel stop for him, which makes you wonder, when will we see the rest of these guys in, and how much fuel can they save? How much fuel are they really burning? As that's through turn 10 for Dino Filippa and Ricardo Rico, your race leader. And Filippa is there, JP. He's been there for a while, but he's properly there right now. Falls back a little bit through turn 12. Through turns 13 and 14, let's see if he can close back in, maybe if he pits. And I think something worth talking about is how much of a different line you can run through 14 and how much time I think there is to be made up in turn 14 if you need to pit. Whenever you need to come through and pit, look here at the wider angle from the drone with Zamperlini. You can really go way out wide and go to that pit exit, or pit entry rather. And I think you can take the corner completely differently when you decide to pit. Might have just seen it. I think one car pitted. Yes, Miguel Colon just pitted. Didn't quite catch it in time, but hopefully we'll see it with one of these guys. I think there's a lot of time to be made up there. It's one of the more unique pit entries we've seen all season.
And obviously, running through the corner normally, we saw Ricardo Rico just going absolutely, on the curbing, just going with a really tight line, and he was able to grab pole like that, not running, the wider line, just going a little bit wide and cutting back in, just like a situation we're seeing Filippa doing right here on this corner. So yeah, as you mentioned, really you can take so many different approaches on that corner, and obviously on the race, looks like the leading approach, Andrew, is just going a little bit wide, cutting it back in to make sure you get a good enough run to secure position or defend it before turn number 1. We're going to take a look at exactly how these two are tackling, and I feel like Filippa might be a little bit more aggressive on the angle. You can see right here going a little bit wider. Yeah, there you go. And you can see right there Ricardo Rico going a little bit tighter, and then on exit they're pretty much going to even themselves out. I think Ricardo Rico got a better exit on that time around.
I think he did. I think you're right. Behind these guys, Marco Saavedra has closed in on Jackson Resende. So we've got two separate battles in the top 4 where the Infinite Racing Services driver is on the offensive and really taking control of their races. Saavedra here on Resende, Filippa ahead on Rico, and Filippa no move there into turn 3. How about Saavedra this time down the hill to this very awkward braking zone? Any opportunity? The answer is no.
Not this time, at least. This battle for the podium is definitely not over, and this battle right here is certainly not over. Everybody keeping pace with Romagnolo, and I don't think they caught up any time, Andrew, to Grumig. I was watching it, as you can see right there. Jenkins maybe saving up a little too much fuel, Andrew, and affecting his braking performance. Now he's going to be dropping a little bit in comparison to Zamperlini, and he's going to have to roll that back, and I think he might have lost completely the draft on this part.
Yeah, it's going to change things up. Might be pitting time there now for him, as Jax Resende gives way to Marcos Saavedra real quick there in turn 10. Finally giving that third spot up to the Infinite Racing Services driver. Meanwhile, Dino Filippa through turn 14, still following Ricardo Rico. When do these drivers pit? As Dalton Zavadil, again, racing on Ryan Amonsim. Not racing from home, not racing on his home setup. We mentioned this in qualifying, we'll talk about it again. Racing on a completely different sim setup and different wheel, pedals, and everything. He mentioned there was no clutch for him to use when he jumped in the sim, and he wasn't expecting that at all. I suggested, hey, map that to a button. We'll see if he did or not, if we get a chance to talk to him after the race. But definitely an interesting situation here for Lauren Zavadil. I'm not sure where he's traveled to or what for. Maybe for one of the races this weekend, potentially the Indianapolis 500. Who knows? But Lawrence Dalton, whatever we want to call him, Zavadil anyways, in a very odd situation, trying to hang on to his points lead. The good news for him, JP, is that Gustavo's not here today. And I don't know when we're going to figure Pro-Am. I guess, I don't know when we're going to figure in drop weeks, but it's going to change things up for sure, not having Gustavo here today and having Dalton and Ricardo in the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Gustavo, in our minds, I feel like we both thought he was going to be using the last round as his drop week, as he finished, I think, 9th place, 8th, 9th place, but well outside of the top 5. But yeah, not showing up tonight. That's definitely going to hurt his championship. Definitely going to help out Zavadil, and he's definitely going to be a bit more comfortable on that lead, Andrew. But yeah, after tonight's race on to next week, we're going to have the definitive answer on the score sheets. But it's certainly going to be interesting. What is also interesting is these two going at it, Andrew. No change so far Ricardo Rico hasn't made a single mistake throughout this whole race. He's just keeping it very cool under pressure.
We did sail right on past halfway, so as we watch our leaders, let's talk about Driver of the Day nominations, JP. One for Pro-Am each. And I'll give you the floor to start, as per usual. This has been a really intriguing round. I think the calmest and really, I think, the most compelling in terms of just clean racing and straight-up driver finesse on one another. This has been a really interesting round, and I've really enjoyed this so far.
So, I mean, as usual, you put me on a difficult spot, Andrew. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to go with Martin Grimigna, first things first. Keeping his cool, 6th place, leading the Pro-Am class. I feel like that's one of the easiest choice. We have these two, Andrew. I mean, we can both pick one of them. They're doing a fantastic job. Philippa, I think he started at 3rd place. Just, went up to 1st place, caught up. Looks like he lost a bit of contact right now. And Ricardo Rico, obviously, him as well, just leading every single lap. I'm going to go for both leaders and let you figure out the other 2 picks. So Ricardo Rico and Grimigna are going to be my picks. And, well, good luck on yours.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I think we've got to take the sim rig situation into account for Dalton Zavadil. Now, I'm not making my nomination just yet. I'm going to think here out loud. Dalton Zavadil, I think, definitely has to be in the conversation, given the fact that he's on somebody else's rig. He's still top 5 in one of, if not the most competitive private Porsche Cup league that we have. Dino Filippo, of course, would be a great option as well, considering, and I think I'll go with Dino. I don't think we've talked much about him in Driver of the Day this season. So I'll go ahead and grab Dino, just because he's been kind of under the radar in this case. A usual top contender, but he's had a lot of rough trouble this season and is really showing out here tonight at Rudskogen. Next up in Pro-Am, you made it tough on me, JP. Grimigna really is the one to take right now. Alex Jenkins has been caught behind Giuliano Romagnolo and Fabio Zamperlini for laps. And I think he's the next most notable. Yeah, I'll just take the easy give me. We'll take the top 2 in each class. I think that's the easiest way to go here today. This, again, is very much a driver's racetrack in every sense of the word. And I think it kind of just falls that way naturally. The top 2 in each class right now is deserving of the vote. So let me get Alex Jenkins typed up here, and we'll put that post up right now over in YouTube chat. I know, there's the conversation for Stu today, but I think you guys can agree here that in the pro class, there's really no beating Ricardo Rico and Dino Filippo right now. I know there was the big start for Giuliano, but these two are in a class of their own. They've got 6 seconds back to the next car, 6.5 back to Marco Saavedra. They're in a class of their own. I don't think you can pick anybody else.
Yeah, it's a difficult spot, isn't it, Andrew? I mean, I feel like it's difficult for us to choose, just 2 drivers from each course. If we could, I think we would just, let the public vote on everybody. But I feel like a poll with 20, 30 drivers, I think it would be a bit too huge at this time. But yeah, it's certainly, I feel like, everybody's valid. Everybody has a shot at driver of the day, but it's just so very difficult to choose. Now, the time, Andrew, another thing that's difficult to choose is when to pit. Do you pit early on trying to get an undercut? Do you pit as late as possible to have the lightest car as possible? What would be your strategy if you're stuck behind someone?
Well, Dino Filippo is getting his best laps on track, apparently. And that's actually true for most of the field right now. A lot of these guys lapping on the 122s. Excuse me. You see, I couldn't get to the mute button in time for that one, but most of the field on the 122s right now. And that's surprising, actually. I mean, that goes down even outside of the top 10. Scott Reister at a 122.877 last time around. We've got some really good lap times from a lot of these drivers right now. Of course, because they are on light fuel loads, even though Scott Reister's already pitted. So Martin Grimigna, though, has just lost a bunch of time. Here we go for Pro-Am. Grimigna, I think, might have had to slow down, gave up a lot of time to Stu and to Zamperlini, and suddenly he's got Alex Jenkins breathing down his neck.
Oh, this has turned into a very interesting battle right now, Andrew. Not only for track position, but when they come to the pits, obviously Jenkins was saving fuel, so he's going to have probably an advantage. Now Grimigna is going to be in a really difficult spot. But yeah, now things have definitely turned up a notch for the Pro-Am battle. This is going to be an exciting 15 minutes to watch.
And this is why I couldn't leave Jenkins off the card. He's got a situation now in front of him where he can go up here and take the Pro-Am win from Grimigna. He's been saving fuel, as we've noted. If he's able to leapfrog Martin here, this is huge in Pro-Am. And could this be the sign that he's pitting? No. Oh, man. That would have been the time to do it. That was a perfect run deep into 14 to widen out the exit and go straight into the pits. I thought that was the time for Alex Jenkins. But he saves again, back on the clutch there to turn one, trying to save every bit of fuel that he can and go as long as he can, get this car as empty as he can, and run some light lap times here towards the end of this race, and then pit Stu that time with a slowdown. That's going to kind of box things up here to turn 3.
Oh, and you can see he defends the inside. He's able to hold off that time penalty, and you can see right there, Zamperlini getting really close, almost making contact, but Romagnolo with a masterclass on how to get rid of a slowdown penalty.
I don't think Fabio's amused. Something tells me he did not appreciate that in turn 3, but such is life sometimes, and especially when racing Stu here late in the race. It's full send always from car 55. Up ahead, no change for the race lead. We do have Dalton Zavidil here to the inside in turn 13. Oh, that got close. Resende shuts the door rather loudly right on the foot there of Dalton Zavidil. Things holding station throughout the field. No pit stops yet. Maybe here for Resende. Yes, here he comes.
That's Resende, the first of the leaders to jump on the pit lane, falling with a lot of pressure from Zavidil right behind him. And you're going to see if anyone else follows him. Looks like not this lap. So
here we go, Rayleigh.
Yeah, just as I mentioned, Rayleigh comes into the pit lane. He's going to be the second driver to pit. Obviously, technically the third. I think the first one was Carl Reiser. Meanwhile, Love 46 continues on the racetrack. But Andrew, it has to be 1, 2, max 3 laps before everybody has to jump in the pit lane to get some fuel.
For sure.
And look at this.
Yeah, here's your race leaders. Ricardo Rico, Dino Filippa swapping a little bit of paint maybe there in turn 8. It was close. Down to turn 10 this time, separated by about 3.5 tenths, coming up on the 81 car of Adam Hartzell and the 66 of Johan Shirazi. So this could be tough going. If I'm them, I'm going to pit now. Plain and simple, both of them. I would pit now, get away from whatever is going to happen ahead of this.
Yeah, exactly. That has to be the strategy, Andrew. Their pace is much stronger. And if they continue, they could fall under pressure.
Nope.
Wow. So, yeah, well, we'll take that back. Nothing ever happened. We didn't mention a single thing. The battle lives on for these two.
Very interesting moves here from everybody in this field. Saavedra now on his own in third. Lauren Zavidil stays out. Here comes, here comes Giuliano Romagnolo to the pit lane finally. We're seeing some more pit stops. There's car 55 to the pits. Waiting on Alex Jenkins, Alec Bergstrom. Bergstrom, it looks like, will stay on the racetrack. Let's see what Love 46 does this time by.
Nope. Doesn't come into the pits as well. So, yeah, a few drivers here and there coming into the pits. Really interesting. Romagnolo now coming in full stop, getting some fuel in. Scott Reiser did a 5.5 second stop.
Romagnolo is 6.2. Wow.
Yeah, 6.9, almost 7, well, pretty much 7 seconds for Romagnolo, so a bit longer for him. So, yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on those times as well to see who's going to jump who, as Romagnolo now goes back to full racing speed.
Scott Reiser right next to Giuliano Romagnolo after the pit stop, and Reiser takes the spot away. A longer stop there for Giuliano. He has got to get the fuel saving down. He just gave up tons of time. I mean, 1.5 seconds at the pit lane alone to Scott Reiser. A difference of 5.5 seconds in the box for Reister to 7 in the box for Romagnolo to 6.2 in the box for Ascende. Got to get the fuel saving under control, I'd say. Here is your race lead battle, though. Oh boy, we're going to have some fun.
Oh, we certainly will, Andrew. Now with lap traffic up ahead, this is going to prove very interesting for these two. Surprisingly, Andrew, none of them went to the pit lane to try and get rid of this traffic. So, just going to get things even more exciting as those two, as you can see right there, Philippa going a little bit wide, maybe trying to get a better line right here on exit. Not quite, still half a second off, trying to get close on this middle part. This kind of reminds me of Mexico. There we go. That's the track that I was trying to remember. Those S's. As you can see right there, Ricardo Rico goes down the inside. And looks like Philippa is going to follow in as the geodesic driver doesn't get in the way at all, trying to avoid any time loss to these two. But the question is, will they come into this lap? Only 10 minutes remaining. I feel like this is the longest first stint we've had this season so far.
Yeah, this is really stretching the limits for sure. Working on 40 minutes of racing on 1 tank of fuel. And 1 tank here in the North American Racing League Porsche Cup Series is, wow, Dino bobbled big time into 14. He isn't sputtering as Ricardo Rico goes off to the pit lane. That's real interesting. We've got Ricardo coming in before Dino. I suppose that's to be expected because Dino was able to save, Ricardo wasn't. But that was really interesting, that final quarter from Dino. He got real out of shape.
Yeah, that could cost him, Andrew. That could be his shot of, not a victory, but obviously shot of an undercut, just gone away. As we can see right now, a few extra drivers coming into the pit lane. The 166 as well of Bergstrom coming in. The 23 of Romanian, I think he stayed out.
Oh, long stop.
6.5 seconds right there. A bit quicker than Romagnolo, but, could have been better. Zamperlini right now coming into the stop. Let's see what he did. He was stuck behind Romagnolo for a few extra laps. And he comes in. Wow.
Quick one. Wow.
Yeah, 5.2. So you can see right there, nearly at 1.5 quicker than Ricardo Rico. Bergstrom as well, 6.5 seconds. So that seems to be the average, Andrew. Those who've been saving will definitely gain some time.
Not a bad stop there from Alec Bergstrom. 6.5 seconds. It's not bad, all things considered. That's, I don't know, it's a little slow. It's right there with Ricardo Rico. Rico is a little bit slower. I don't know, it's a little bit long compared to some. Not so bad, I suppose, when you're the leader. We'll see how it compares to that of Dino Felipe as he's into the pit lane this time. I think we'll see everybody come in. There comes Saavedra. Yeah, 8.5 minutes to go. This is the limit.
Zabadil comes in as well. Gramigna and Jenkins, I feel like both of them are going to be coming in. They have to, right?
Yeah, here comes Martin.
Yeah, both of them. So this is going to be the interesting battle right here, Andrew. How far did Jenkins save fuel? How much will he gamble? Philippa as well obviously lost quite a bit of time last lap, and he's going to be pitting with half a second quicker. That could make the difference.
We'll see. Where is Ricardo? There's Ricardo Rico. Oh, he's gone. That was all that final corner, that lap coming into the pit lane, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see right there, they're going to come in as pretty much where they were, Andrew. Half a second quicker for Philippa. If it wasn't that mistake, I feel like we would have a different race leader at this point.
Mark Gramigna and Alex Jenkins on top of each other out of the pit lane. Look at how close they are. And Jenkins, of course, has to wait a moment to get back to the throttle. And let's see. No Pro-Am competition in sight for, 7 seconds behind these two. This is your race win battle in Pro-Am as Giuliano Romagnolo has another slowdown.
Oh, and this could get in the way of this battle right here.
It did.
You can see right there. Gramigna has to go wide. Jenkins is going to go down the inside. He's almost making contact with the number 55. He makes contact with Gramigna, and they're going to go side by side. This is the battle for the Pro-Am lead, Andrew. And you can see through the S's, side by side, the number 9 and the number 23. The number 9 on the outside. Can he hold off? 23 now. Gramigna having a run, but I feel like it's going to be Jenkins with the inside towards turn number 8. Who's going to be taking the lead of the Pro-Am. What a battle. And you can see right there, Gramigna looking to the inside. Wow.
Incredible. That was incredible stuff. Alex Jenkins he really should have earned a lot of votes there. He has 0% in the poll. If you haven't voted yet over on YouTube, that is deserving of some votes for driver of the day for Alex Jenkins in car number 9. If that isn't, I don't know what is. That was beautiful, and it's not over yet for the Pro-Am win. Martin Gramigna still very much in the conversation, bobbles that time out of 14, loses some time, but he is still there on Jenkins up the front stretch. Can he close in any in turn 1? We'll leave the fighting up ahead, I guess, to Zamperlini and Romagnolo. For now, it's the stalking game.
Yeah, Gramigna was was defending for pretty much the final 5 laps before the pit stops. Now he's going to have to attack, his competition, as we're going to take a replay from this battle right here. You can see it all started on the exit of the pit lane, Andrew, when we saw the number 55 getting a slowdown penalty.
Watch this, down the hill to turn 3. Romagnolo on the inside, serving a slowdown, gets right in the way of Grimigna trying to turn in and hit the apex. That opens the door perfectly, and there is contact. Jenkins sees the open door, Grimigna trying to shut it. Contact there between the two of them. Here again, they were oh so close at turn 5, again at turn 6. That's the closest racing I think we've seen for the Pro-Am win all season long. Literally making contact at portions of this lap. Rico fast now, a 122.221. Boy, is that quick. But Jenkins right on through. Perfect stuff. And here I thought maybe Grimigna will shove it up the inside. Couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, he definitely tried. As Zavadil now takes the fastest lap of the
Wow.
race. Obviously, the cars are running very light. But yeah, what a battle we just had. And I mean, both of them were taking it to the limit, Andrew. We saw on the S's, none of them wanted to yield. And that was just fantastic. And now Jenkins really has the confidence, and he's taken up to Romagnolo, the number 55, now falling under pressure from the Pro-Am race leader.
We'll let that sort out for the time being. You mentioned Dalton Zavadil, quickest that last time through, picking up a bunch of time. Again, not racing from his home simulator, but more importantly, up ahead, Dino Filippa. We had some rumblings. We really thought maybe he would win this race in the pit lane, saving fuel behind Ricardo Rico, setting up for the long game. Ends up missing the corner badly right before they pit. Now Ricardo Rico getting held up behind Armando Bejeron. Armando finally goes out wide. That's now nearly in the way of Dino. It is! Oh, that pushes him way out wide. No contact, but Dino had to miss him entirely. Oh my goodness.
That's gonna cause, you can see right there, 1.2 seconds, Andrew. Was that the deciding factor on the pro lead battle?
I don't know if it was the deciding factor. I don't know if it would have changed positions, but that's definitely a really bad situation of a lapped car in the wrong place at the wrong time. And wow, Dalton Zavadil quicker, a 122.038. I'm going to get opinionated for a moment as Stu loses more time. Had to slow down again, it looks like. Grimigna now to the inside. This could be interesting to turn 1. Grimigna, oh man, trying to fight with him here. That's a difference of racing philosophy. If I was in Stu's position, I would have lifted, but I'm sure he's not at all worried about these guys and their race win. But I was going to go back to Armando. Armando, I think he just needs to lift in a different spot. He's got to find a better place to go out wide and park it and let those guys go by if he wants to let those guys go by. At the same time, it's tough. If you haven't been in that position yet today, you can't expect anybody to be perfect. This is just a really, really tough racetrack. So you know what? We'll take it. It's just a really good race.
And it's kind of interesting. Just thinking about, time and time again we mentioned how sometimes.
Oh, here we go.
What a send! Lick the stamp and send it.
Martin's not happy.
But I mean, props to him for trying. But I mean, I was just gonna mention, time and time again, sometimes we see amateurs getting the way sometimes of pro battles, but I don't think it's very often that we see pros, getting the way of AM battles, especially not wanting the lead. But this time around, it seems to be the case. Obviously, Romagnolo has every right to battle. It's for position. But, yeah, quite interesting to see how it kind of shaped up the Pro-Am battle. But, I mean, that was a cent and a half, and this one seems to be one as well.
Oh, Hartzell up the inside of Shirazi. This is back here for 16th and 17th. Oh, man. A Pro-Am on a Pro, and that was nearly a crash, as they definitely made contact there at the center of the corner. You're right, and I mentioned it was a difference of racing philosophy. If I'm the driver behind the wheel of the 55 car, I would have let Grimigna go on through. At the same time, Giuliano may not know, and he also may not care that this is a fight for the race win in Pro-Am. That's not his job. His job is to go out there and get every spot he can, especially because these guys are scored by their overall position. They aren't scored, JP, in some leagues where we see, well, there's a slowdown for Giuliano, and Martin emphatically gets over in front of Giuliano. But some leagues we see a split scoring system where the pros and AMs, they score their points separately on the racetrack. In this case, the North American Racing League, Giuliano's got to fight for that spot and that point, because they are scored overall and then split into their classes. So that's still a position that Giuliano is racing for, technically 4 points with Martin. There's no reason that he has to let over. Just a difference of philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. But well, at one point it's unfortunate that got in the way of the battle. But I mean, if it didn't, we wouldn't have seen that beautiful send.
That's true.
So it kind of has its ups and downs. But all I can see right here, Alex Jenkins looks like he's not done yet, Andrew. Within what, 2 laps to go, chasing now Zamperlini, and looks like he has the pace, has the momentum. Really good to see right there. The number 53 looks like he's chasing lap 46 right here as they head into turns 1 and 2.
Yes, Aubrey Kundle on lap 46 through turns 1 and 2. And that, I believe, is 2 laps to go as our race leader. Oh, this could be close. That was the white flag. JP, another time where ATVO fails us. That was the white flag presented by Whiplash Simcams, and sure enough, out of turn 14, it is a checkered flag for Ricardo Rico at Rudskogen. A big-time win and a return to the top for car 51 over Dino Filippa. Marcos Cervedra will come on through to an uncontested position number 3 over Dalton Zavadil. Jackson Resende will go 5th. Scott Reister, an early pit stop, he recovers to the 6th position. What a great run for these two guys. Fabio Zamperlini, it looks like, will hang on to 7th, but Alex Jenkins will go to victory lane in Pro-Am with a win from 8th place overall.
What a good drive for him as well. A beautiful move, beautiful battle he had with Martin Gramigna, who's going to finish in 10th place, just behind, looks like just ahead? Just behind, there we go. Giuliano Romagnolo, the number 87, looks like he's going to be beating the number 166. So an excellent race you can see right here. Looks like lap 46 lost the position on the last lap.
Sure enough.
Yeah.
Aubrey Kundle on through to 14th.
There you go. So a change of position on the final lap, but an excellent race, Andrew, as some extra positions still yet to be decided, looks like. But I mean, what a debut for this track for us. I mean, sure, I'll take many more of it in the future.
And that's Hartzell finishing behind Shirazzi to wrap up this race. And, Giuliano Romagnolo at the end, a penalty. That will sink him to 15th spot in today's order. Well, JP, you're right. This is very much a success for this racetrack here in the North American Racing League and on Pit Stop TV in general. I will happily take much more of it. Scott Reister, thank you. It was a lot of fun this evening. Let's take a look at our unofficial race results. Every lap led aside from 2, it looks like, for Ricardo Rico. Dino Filippa will go P2. Marcos Saavedra rounds out your top 3. And your podium here. Dalton Zavadil, I think, fastest lap of the day. What a run for him. Quite frankly, I think he earned more nominations, points, if you will, for driver of the day at the end of the race. But still, I don't know if I could put him above Dino Filippa. Those two guys out front, still 8 seconds ahead of third. It's insane the way things broke down today here at Rudskogen. Jackson Resende there in 5th, Scott Reister 6th, Fabio Zamperlini 7th, but then JP, you get down to your Pro-Ams, Alex Jenkins, Mark Gravigna, Miguel Colon, your top 3 in Pro-Am, all officially, or I guess unofficially, in your top 10 overall.
11th place, we're going to have Alec Bergstrom, who's probably going to jump Andrew a really good to the top step of the Pro-Am, standings. Thomas Riley is going to finish in 12th place ahead of Aubrey Kundle, who made the last lap move on lap 46. Romagnolo, as we mentioned, with that last lap penalty, is going to drop to 15th place ahead of Johan Shirazzi. Adam Hartzell is going to finish in 17th ahead of Armando Bejarran. Scott Angelo in 19th place, and Dominic Turcotte in 20th place. And I think the only extra driver is going to be Luan Hot in 21st place. He started the race, Andrew, but I think due to connectivity issues, unfortunately wasn't able to finish.
That's how it breaks down here for the pros and Pro-Ams. And with that, JP, excuse me, see again, couldn't get to the mute button for that one. With that finalizes Martin Gramigna as today's driver of the day. I think that might be the first time we've awarded that to a Pro-Am over an Am driver. I could be mistaken. But that solidifies that one. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I'm surprised Alex Jenkins got no votes. he goes to victory lane here in Pro-Am, and quite frankly, he would have been my personal vote if I could have just gotten out of my device and voted for somebody. That's who I would have voted for. No drivers in Discord yet, so we'll give a moment here for Ricardo, Dino, Alex, and Martin to join in, but nobody in here yet. So if you guys are watching, join the Discord here at Pit Stop TV. We'll talk to you. But JP, briefly, let's take a look at what we have coming up. And well, again, my mouth's doing some interesting things, but we'll take a look here specifically at round 5, Monza next week, the combined layout. We've been talking about it, kind of hyping it up as the season has gone by. I think this could be the single most awkward, but single most exciting race of the season just because of the layout. It's going to be a lot of fun next week.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've only seen on, virtual racing. I've never actually raced on that layout. But boy, oh boy, it's certainly going to be interesting to see the Porsche Cups going through it. It's going to be something, Andrew. It's going to be exciting, and I feel like that's going to be one of the races where pretty much everybody has an equal shot of winning due to one reason or the other. So luckily for us, it's, only 7 days away.
Yeah, we are now within a week of going green at Monza for both classes, and even going checkered. As JP Ricardo Rico is ready to talk to you, and you specifically, after a fantastic run here at Red Skogan Motor Center. Ricardo Rico certainly earning this interview and this opportunity to speak with the great JP Costa. Ricardo is putting together one heck of a run here, JP.
Absolutely. And Ricardo, I mean, what a drive that was for you, handling the pressure, nailing the pit stops. How was it from your point of view?
Hi guys, good night. Well, I didn't have much to do, to be fair. It was just trying to race fair and clean, and to escape from Dino, who was going very fast. So it was not easy, but simple.
Not easy, but simple. I think that's the first time we've heard someone say that, especially after they've been, throughout the race under pressure. How are you able to handle all that pressure coming from Dino right behind and still not make a single mistake?
Let's say I did a good race on these terms, and also this circuit allows you to be a bit, I don't know how to say it, but let's say I was not having a hard time because it's difficult to overtake on this circuit. Also, Dino is very fair, so that helps, of course.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that kind of works out. And how much practice did you put in before coming into tonight's race, especially due to being a new circuit?
I did 2 days because on this Tuesday I had an important race of a Spanish championship, but it was 2 intense days of trying to learn the track, and I think it paid.
Oh, it definitely paid off. And one final question. Next week, obviously, the special layout at Monza. How do you prepare for that race?
I don't like Monza, but I will try my best. I hope I can catch up with some guys to try and learn how works the draft, because there is some long straights. And I will try to do a good car on the defending, so it will be like that.
Well, absolutely. It's certainly going to be an interesting race, not only for you driving, but for us as well, commentating. And hopefully we can talk to you then again, Ricardo. Well done on the race today, and good luck on practice.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You as well. So, Andrew, that was our race winner. It looks like the only driver on this race that wants to talk to us tonight. So, quite interesting.
Well, for once, I'm okay with that. This is probably the one occasion where I'm okay with that. Again, thank you everybody for not, I guess, roasting me in the YouTube chat for my voice very much being off. This is an interesting one, JP. I think one of the best races of the season, certainly, and I think this was an opportunity, much like if we were to go to the Nürburgring Nordschleife, or when we sometimes go to VIR, just an opportunity. This track is under 2 miles. An opportunity to watch these guys just battle a racetrack. It's I wonder as well how it would work going to somewhere like Tsukuba, very much in the same kind of range here as Red Skogan. A tight, narrow racetrack that is not very long in terms of length. I really do wonder how it would compare. I think this was a success for this kind of racetrack in general in the North American Racing League. I know with a larger field size, maybe we don't have the same kind of success, but I think we could have sent all 50 cars that showed up today on the racetrack at once, and I still think it would have been okay. We might have had a big crash on lap 1. We've had that before, though, and I think it would have been good racing nonetheless. So just a good opportunity to watch these guys really fight lap after lap and really enjoy some good racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you said it, I think absolutely everything. And it's kind of interesting, right? Because you mentioned in this, we mentioned in the pre-race broadcast, we weren't really sure how the overtakes and how the battles would happen. And I don't think we had the record amount of overtakes around this racetrack, but it was just so exciting how everything kind of lined itself up. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why I think you'll agree with me, and I agree with you. This has been the best run of the season so far.
Yeah, we didn't have any crazy chaos, any crazy weird moments. Like, it was a good round, and I think that's what this league can take to the bank from this evening. It was a good round here at Skogan. A big thank you to our partners with the North American Racing League, of course, Infinite Racing Services, Moradness, Victorum, and Screw Compressor Service Incorporated, all fantastic partners and what they do for this series. Infinite Racing Services, of course, providing the amateur setups and, excuse me, I don't recall the exact details about the deal, but I know that Dino recently put out a deal. I believe it was for $15 sessions for coaching for drivers in the series, which I know I'm going to get into a coaching moment with Moradness here in a second, but if that is what you're looking for, that is a great deal to work with Dino. I believe $15 sessions. I know many said that he could probably charge a whole lot more, and people would still go to him. I know that was a conversation in the Discord. I think Dino certainly proved it this evening, going P2 this evening. Moradness, a big-time group over there. I love checking in. I don't check in very often, but I check in to their Discord channel on occasion and just see everything they have going on, and it's always so surprising to see just how many channels they have that are always so active. What a community over there at Moradness and M Squad. Excuse me, I'm glad they have a strong footing here in the North American Racing League, week in, week out, season in, season out. And hey, we had Moradness leader himself, if you will, Daniel Morad, in the chat tonight, as per usual. It's such a pleasure to have him watching these broadcasts. And how about our newest scoring partner from JS Consulting, Victorum, a brand new program that is kind of debuting here with NARL, but will soon be growing to handle all of your iRacing League scoring. Check out Victorum today, and of course, Screw Compressor Service Incorporated. And JP, that is it for us this evening, but we can take a look at our upcoming broadcast here at Pit Stop TV. Next up, we go to CTMP, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. A lot of fun with the Radical SR8, a throwback feel for sure for the SimPit Radical series on Sunday, before we have a couple of late model races back-to-back at USA and Concord for the iRacing Cars Late Model Stock Tour season finale, and round 3 for the D-Line Racing League. But then, JP, we go to Monza on Thursday. You can catch everything going on Pit Stop TV social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Kick.
Yeah, absolutely. All of those to follow us, obviously, on live updates, pictures, standings, all that sort of stuff on news. It's certainly worthwhile following us on Facebook.com/PitStopTV, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, Twitter.com/PitStop_, and obviously on Twitch and YouTube as well. Just follow us live. And Andrew, I mean, tonight was a blast, and 3 fantastic races, as you mentioned, upcoming. But next week, I feel like, it's going to be on store for something very, very special.
Absolutely. Next Thursday, 8:30 Eastern. Make sure to tune back in here at Pit Stop TV for more NARL action. We appreciate it, as always. Only got to talk to one driver tonight, but that's okay. All of you drivers out in the series, fantastic racing tonight here at the North American Racing League at Skogan Motor Center. A good debut for this racetrack for sure on the channel and for the league, and hopefully it's not one of those racetracks that in a season or two, Scott is saying, oh, we're not racing here again. Scott, even a great run tonight. I think just a lot of great takeaways from Skogan. I think everybody should be in good spirits, even those who had rougher nights. I think still an opportunity to come to a really cool racetrack in this series. Next up, it's Monza, but before we get there, a big thank you to those who make it happen behind the scenes for us here at Pit Stop TV. and audio, ATVO, Whiplash Media, SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com. For all of us here at Pit Stop TV, myself, Andrew Cardinale IV, and JP Costa alongside this evening, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.